When there was a gas leak and I bled heavily, fainting at home, my husband, the captain of the rescue team, sent everyone to save his suicidal first love. This time, I learned my lesson and didn't call. I just watched as darkness enveloped me. In my previous life, he answered my call first and brought people to save me, but as white Moonlight committed suicide by slashing her wrists in the bathtub at home, my husband said that everyone has their own fate. And he didn't regret saving me and our child, but on the night of the delivery, he tied me to the bed with bloodshot eyes, letting me and our child die together. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day of the gas leak. This time, if he wants to save Bai Yuiguang, let it be as he wishes. I can survive on my own. 1. Before I was fully conscious, I already smelled a pungent odor. Just as I tried to get up, I found myself completely unable to move, and I was bleeding down below. I struggled to crawl to the coffee table, fumbled for my phone, and dialed the rescue team's number. The call was quickly answered, and a familiar voice came through. "Hey, sister-in-law, you really know how to call us. The timing is just perfect." The person speaking is Sun Ji, a colleague and close friend of my fiancé Meng Hongtao. "Sun Ji, I fell down. There's a gas leak at home. Please send someone over to help me. The pungent smell is already choking me, making it hard to breathe." But the person on the other end chuckled. "Sister-in-law, your words are exactly the same as Brother Meng's. Did you two rehearse this beforehand?" "Sister-in-law, Meng told me everything. He said you'd be jealous if you knew he was going to save Lu Qingqing, so you filed a false report to get his attention, and told me not to pay any attention to you." "Sister-in-law, I have to advise you, you and Meng have been together for so many years. Don't you know what kind of person he is? He's going to save Lu Qingqing because it's a matter of life and death. You're pregnant now, so don't overthink things. Rest assured, there are many people going, and they're all keeping an eye on him. Meng won't do anything inappropriate. Most importantly, Meng took everyone from the team with him, except for the few of us on duty. There's no one else to send." Hearing Sun Ji say that, what more did I need to understand? I should have just hung up the phone and reconsidered my approach. As I looked at my meticulously decorated future wedding home, a pang of bitterness surged through me. Glancing again at my bleeding lower body, I felt this child was likely beyond saving. I had never imagined the possibility of being reborn, let alone at such a critical juncture. In my past life, it was also on this day that I faced the same predicament. After getting pregnant, I was already prone to sleepiness, but suddenly I smelled a pungent odor while sleeping. I quickly got out of bed and rushed downstairs to check the gas situation. As a result, I was in such a hurry that I accidentally missed a step and fell down the stairs. I started bleeding on the spot and faced the risk of a gas leak, which could have exploded at any moment. My mind was in complete chaos, and the first person I thought of was Meng Hongtao. I called him for help, and he quickly brought a group of people to rescue me. This averted a major disaster. He was too busy taking me to the hospital for a prenatal checkup to notice the dozens of missed calls from his first love, Lu Qingqing. It was only later that we found out Lu Qingqing had a relapse of depression that day and had slit her wrists in the bathtub at home. They say the first person to find her was shocked to the core. Lu Qingqing was completely submerged in blood, her body pale and bloated. I was scared to death. And the tears just wouldn't stop. Meng Hongtao hugged me and comforted. Thankfully, I arrived in time, or I would have regretted it for the rest of my life. Later, I heard someone ask him, "Do you regret not going to save Lu Qingqing?" He shook his head, his tone firm. "Everyone has their own destiny. I have never regretted saving my wife and child." We got married smoothly and enjoyed a few sweet months together. On the night I was joyfully awaiting the birth of our child, the man who had always doted on me suddenly changed. He tied my hands and feet to the bed and stood silently by, watching me struggle in pain as I went into labor. I cried and begged him to take me to the hospital, to save our child, but he acted as if he hadn't heard, continuing on his own. I regret it so much. I should have been firmer back then. You've always been manipulative, always jealous, and petty. Why did I believe you that day? Why did I come back to save you? You could have left on your own. You could have turned off the leaking gas yourself, but you still insisted I come back. If it weren't for your tears begging me to return, how could I have missed the chance to save Qingqing, leaving me unable to see her one last time? It's you, you wicked woman. Not only did you kill Qingqing, but you also bullied her before, driving her to depression. You're the one who deserves to die the most. His expression was wild, like that of a madman who had lost his mind. He laughed as he spoke. You know how desperate Qingqing was before she died from excessive blood loss, don't you? you have no idea, so, I'll let you experience the pain she endured, slowly wait for your death. Before I lost consciousness, the last thing I saw was Meng Hongtao laughing wildly, his face full of vengeance satisfied. Now, I must save myself, too. I crawl towards the door with great difficulty. With every push, I feel like my whole body is being torn apart. The house that I could usually walk out of in just a few steps now feels unnaturally large. I slowly inch toward the door, the pain in my abdomen making me want to cry. I know these are physiological tears, my final farewell to my child. The trail of blood beneath me looked like a gruesome crime scene at first glance. As I crawled, I reflected on my years of foolishness. How could I have been so gullible as to trust Meng Hongtao? I had been with Meng Hongtao for 6 years. And I had long considered him my only family in the world, because when I was in middle school, my parents were taken away from me in a car accident. After that, I started moving from one relative's house to another. On the surface, they would smile and tell me to treat their home as my own, but soon enough, they would start to resent me, although I tried to stay out of the way, always smiling and greeting people, and even took the initiative to do housework. But being a guest is being a guest. They take it all for granted and even push it further. That's why I've always dreamed of having my own home, where I can build a happy family with the person I love. After meeting Meng Hongtao, he actively pursued me, acting like the perfect model boyfriend. I was completely immersed in his love and tenderness, unable to pull myself away. By the 3rd year of our relationship, he had already introduced me to his parents. His parents treated me so well, as if I were their own daughter. We talked about getting married, and even bought a house for our future. This house was chosen by both of us. We decorated it together, picked out the furniture, and adorned every corner. Before Lu Qingqing returned, I even fantasized about the happy life we would have after getting married. We'd have a cat, a dog, and a child. Our family of 5 would live our own little life. This beautiful illusion was shattered completely when Lu Qingqing returned. She was like a beautiful yet fragile porcelain doll, easily shattered with a light touch. On the night of her return, at 2 in the morning, a phone call took away the person by my side. Meng Hongtao said, "She just came back and has no friends. I'll help her more. Don't overthink it." As soon as Lu Qingqing saw me, she would scream and shout as if she had seen something terrifying. Later, after being diagnosed by a psychiatrist, she was found to have moderate depression, and even had tendencies towards self-harm and suicide. From then on, Meng Hongtao protected Lu Qingqing very well, completely preventing me from seeing her. It was as if he was afraid I would devour Lu Qingqing. It was precisely because Lu Qingqing had depression that Meng Hongtao would agree to all her requests, at any time. With just a phone call or a message, Meng Hongtao would rush to her without hesitation. We've had many arguments over this, and each time he insists he only sees Lu Qingqing as a friend, saying he doesn't want to see a life disappear. He acts self-righteously, making me look like an unreasonable, shrewish woman, but he didn't know that Lu Qingqing always sent me photos of her with Meng Hongtao, cooking, peeling shrimp, tidying up the house, helping her dry her hair, and even sleeping beside her. I was tormented in this relationship, unable to bear how Meng Hongtao always prioritized Lu Qingqing, yet unable to let go of this long-standing relationship. It dawned on me later that since Lu Qingqing returned, Meng Hongtao hasn't mentioned marriage at all. Was it from then that he had already given up on our relationship, on me and the child in my womb? It seems the gas leak has gotten worse, as a neighbor also smelled the gas and came to knock on my door. "Hey, is anyone there, Xiao Jiang? Are you home? What's that smell? Is it a gas leak?" The one knocking on the door was an elderly woman from the house diagonally across from mine. She has a loud voice but is very kind. I tried my best to respond, "Help, Auntie Song, save me," but the other person couldn't hear me at all, still knocking on the door insistently. The commotion was so loud that it drew people from several nearby houses. As soon as they approached my door, they smelled a pungent odor, like rotten vegetable leaves. "What's going on here? Is there a gas leak in this house? We need to handle this quickly, or something serious could happen." The one speaking was a brother from the northeast who came here to work. Someone suggested, "Quick, call the rescue team, or things could get really bad if we delay." Everyone quickly took out their phones and called the rescue team, reporting the same address. Sun Ji, who had been leisurely, started to panic when he received one distress call after another. Because he knew that if it was just one person calling, it might be a petty matter, but if a group of people were calling, it was no small issue. He hung up the phone and rushed back with the remaining few. The older brother from the northeast felt that waiting for the rescue team would be too late. He pushed the crowd aside and said, "Move out of the way, I'll kick the door open first." The crowd stepped back, and the 180-pound northeastern guy kicked the door with a single powerful move. With each kick, I could feel the walls and floor tremble slightly. I don't know how many times the guy kicked, but the door finally gave way. The moment the door opened, everyone saw me lying on the ground with a long trail of blood behind me, and they were terrified. "Xiao Jiang, how are you?" Auntie Song rushed over to help me up, her face filled with concern. "Quick, I'll take you to the hospital." Just as everyone carried me downstairs, my house exploded, with a loud bang. It was as if a bomb had exploded right next to my ear. With great difficulty, I turned back to look in the direction of my home, where a raging fire was consuming everything. The next second, I felt everything go black and lost consciousness completely. 3. A fire broke out after the explosion, and firefighters quickly arrived to extinguish it, making the incident quickly hit the local news. When Sun Ji arrived, he saw the firefighters had already gotten there. Seeing the raging fire in front of him, he was completely stunned in place. The firefighter saw the people from the rescue station arrive and shouted for them to help. What help could the few people Sun Ji brought provide? They didn't bring any rescue tools. The entire rescue team has been taken away by Meng Hongtao, and no one else will come. The fire captain asked Sun Ji, "Why did only a few people come? Where are the rest of your rescue team? Are they all slacking off at the rescue station?" As soon as these words were spoken, the people gathered outside began to question Sun Ji. "Aren't you the rescue team? Why didn't you come earlier? We made so many calls, and yet only a few of you showed up. Isn't your duty to protect the safety of the people and to appear at the first moment when they need help? Why did you delay until now?" Sun Ji was terrified, and he dared not say that the rescue station was now completely empty. He finished dealing with the crowd and immediately called Meng Hongtao. The phone connected, and Meng Hongtao's calm voice came through. "What's wrong, brother? It's bad. Something really happened to your wife, and the fire department is here. The situation over there is serious. They want us to go and assist. You need to bring people over quickly, or it'll be too late." Meng Hongtao chuckled on the other end of the line. "Sun Ji, what are you doing? Tell the truth. What did Jiangli offer you to make you willing to make this call for her?" "No, brother Meng, don't joke around. This is really serious. You need to hurry over with people. If we're late, we'll all be in deep trouble." Sun Ji was frantic. "And you and sister-in-law are about to get married. She's pregnant. How can you bear to leave her alone at home?" "Sun Ji, look carefully who you're talking to. I'm the captain. Is this how you speak to your captain?" Meng Hongtao shouted into the phone. "And listen carefully, we're not married yet. Without a marriage certificate, we're just boyfriend and girlfriend, free to break up at any time. If you're interested in her, go and win her over yourself." "Meng Hongtao, I thought you were a human being, but you're just an animal. I shouldn't have trusted you. You've ruined us all." Sun Ji was on the verge of losing his mind, and his words started to become reckless. The person on the other end of the line chuckled. "Sun Ji, I didn't expect you to be such a good actor. Maybe you should quit this job and switch to acting. Enough, stop talking nonsense. Even if something really happened, it's her own fault. Besides, she's so afraid of dying. What could possibly go wrong? Tell her that this time." I deliberately gave her a lesson to stop her from constantly being jealous and unreasonable. After saying that, he hung up the phone directly, not giving Sun Ji a chance to speak. Damn, Sun Ji was so angry he wanted to smash his phone, but he had more important things to do now. There was nothing he could do at the scene, but seeing the ambulance just squeezing in, Sun Ji rushed over. Just as he saw me being lifted into the ambulance, he quickly jumped in. My face is pale. Blood is continuously flowing out, and my heart rate is rapidly dropping, almost at its lowest. The patient's vital signs are rapidly deteriorating. They are in shock. Prepare the defibrillator. Immediate resuscitation is needed. 4. When I woke up, all I saw was a vast expanse of white. My thoughts were in chaos, as if I had been hit hard on the head. "Lily, how do you feel?" Hearing the voice, I slowly turned my head to look. The person sitting by my hospital bed was Meng Hongtao's mother, the future mother-in-law who had promised to treat me like her own daughter. Seeing that I wasn't speaking, Mother Meng got anxious and quickly pressed the call button. After the doctor and nurses arrived, she said anxiously, "Doctor, please take a look at my child. Why isn't she speaking?" The doctor first called my name, then checked my eyes and ears. I let the doctor manipulate me like a lifeless doll. "The patient is fine. It's probably due to extreme emotional fluctuations, temporarily losing the ability to perceive the outside world. It should pass soon. Only when she heard I was okay did Mrs. Meng relax. After a long time, I seemed to slowly find myself again. I placed my hand on my flat stomach. When Mrs. Meng saw my gesture, she quickly stepped forward, took my hand, and said with a look of deep concern, "Lily, don't be too sad. There will be other children, you're still young. And having a child won't be too difficult." I didn't speak, just turned my head and stared at her intently. She felt uneasy under my gaze, quickly let go of my hand, and stammered as she spoke, "Lily, why are you looking at me like that?" I slowly exhaled a deep breath and said softly, "I'm tired, I want to rest." Auntie Meng, unwilling to give up, grabbed my hand again and began apologizing on Meng Hontao's behalf. "Lily, Auntie knows you've been wrong today. The loss of the child has left me, as the grandmother, and Hontao, as the father, all in pain. You two have been together for 6 or 7 years now. The depth of your relationship is something many people envy. Auntie truly likes you from the bottom of her heart. The wedding date is set, and the invitations have been sent out. We can't afford to lose our composure at this point, and since you started dating, Auntie has treated you well, and I believe you know that in your heart. Auntie has truly treated you like her own daughter." This situation was unforeseen, and of course, Hongtao made more mistakes. When he comes later, I'll make sure he apologizes to you properly. Would that be okay? I remained silent for a while, then looked at Mrs. Meng Hongtao and asked, "Auntie, you said you treat me like your own daughter, but if you really had a daughter and she was in my situation, would you tell her to forgive the other party?" Meng Hongtao's mother paused for a moment, then fell silent. "Auntie, you see, you already know the answer. If my parents were still alive, they would definitely feel the same way as you and wouldn't want me to forgive him. Auntie, do you understand what I'm trying to say?" Meng Hongtao's mother raised her eyes and glanced at me furtively, still remaining silent. As a mother, it's only natural for Mrs. Meng to stand by her son, Meng Hongtao, and defend him, but we're all adults here. And it's clear to everyone who has been wronged or hurt, no woman can accept that her fiancé would abandon her to care for another woman when she is in danger or suffering. If there is, it only means this woman doesn't love this man. From the moment I encountered danger until I was rescued, then sent to the hospital, and even now that I'm awake, I haven't seen Meng Hongtao. Just as the ward fell into endless awkwardness, the door to the ward was pushed open. Meng Hongtao's mother thought it was Meng Hongtao, but when she saw it was Sun Ji, the smile on her face fell. "Xiao Sun, where's Hongtao? Why didn't he come with you?" Sun Ji spoke irritably. "He's busy taking care of his first love. Who cares about our well-being? He caused a huge mess today, and we're all at risk of losing our jobs because of him." Hearing this, Hongtao's mother became anxious. She quickly called Hongtao. As soon as the call connected, Meng Hongtao's mother shouted, "Where the hell have you been? Your wife's in the hospital. Where are you?" Meng Hongtao's impatient voice came through. "Mom, why are you joining in with their nonsense? What could possibly be wrong with her? She's always causing trouble. It's so annoying." Meng Hongtao's mother turned back, glancing at me guiltily, and continued shouting, "What are you talking about? Lily fell and had a severe hemorrhage, resulting in a miscarriage, and you're still out fooling around. Get to the hospital right now." "Miscarriage? How could she have a miscarriage when she was perfectly fine?" Meng Hongtao exclaimed. "Mom, don't say such things just to get me to go see her. It's bad luck to talk like that. Come to the hospital and see for yourself." "Fine, I'll go over there soon." "You and Sun Ji, you have no idea what she's given you to make you say such things. Just wait until I get there and expose her lies." Meng Hongtao's mother was furious. But before she could say anything else, the other side had already hung up the phone. She turned back to meet my cold gaze, her lips quivering several times, but in the end, she didn't utter a single word. 5. It was over an hour before Meng Hongtao finally arrived. Along with him came Lu Qingqing. Lu Qingqing held Meng Hongtao's arm, the two of them walking like a bride and groom heading towards the wedding stage, their faces adorned with faint smiles, standing side by side. The moment she met my gaze, the joy on Lu Qingqing's face was instantly replaced with terror. She recoiled like a frightened little rabbit, instinctively hiding behind Meng Hongtao. "Brother Hongtao, Sister Jiangli seems to be glaring at me." Hearing this, Meng Hongtao stood in front of Lu Qingqing like a brave warrior, glaring at me. "Jiangli, if you have something to say, come at me. Qingqing is still unwell. Why make things difficult for her?" I suddenly remembered a phrase that went viral online recently. when people are speechless, they really do laugh. Meng's mother, looking exasperated, stepped forward and slapped Meng Hongtao across the face. What's wrong with you? Can't you see Lily is still lying in bed? She just gave you a glare when she walked in. If I feel like beating you to death now, do you want to take care of me first? Meng's mother pulled Meng Hongtao over, who hadn't reacted yet, and shot a glare at Lu Qingqing, saying, "You're such an idiot, you believe whatever a stranger says. Why don't you listen to what your mother and your wife, lying in bed, are saying and asking for? Lily just went through a fall, massive bleeding, and a miscarriage. You don't even ask how she is and start scolding right away. Is this how you act as a husband?" It was then that Meng Hongtao finally looked at my belly. A 4-month-old fetus is quite noticeable. The difference between having and not having is huge, even a blind person could tell. Before Meng Hongtao could speak, Lu Qingqing on the side started crying first, sobbing. She apologized. "Sister Jiangli, I'm sorry. If it weren't for my relapse, I wouldn't have contacted Brother Hongtao, and he would have definitely rushed back in time to save you. I'm sorry, it's all my fault." Lu Qingqing pouted her small mouth, her voice choked. And with a deep breath, tears streamed down her face. As a woman, I was stunned. Her crying was truly moving, and even I felt pity for her. If I didn't know the truth, just seeing her cry in front of me would make me think she was being bullied, and with her ability to cry on cue in 3 seconds, it's rare to see in the entertainment industry. For the first time, I felt sorry for her, thinking she had taken the wrong path. What's with her trying to compete with me? She should have become an actress. Such a natural talent for acting is being wasted. As expected, as soon as Lu Qingqing started crying, Meng Hongtao's intelligence immediately dropped to 0, and he quickly embraced her, softly comforting. "Qingqing, don't cry. How could this be your fault? If anyone is to blame, it's her own carelessness. Moreover, she often scares you, and she even arranged for someone to bully you before, which led to your depression. We haven't even settled that account yet." It was only then that I remembered this incident. I wonder if Meng Hongtao even has a brain. Someone from his past must have told him that I orchestrated bullying Lu Qingqing, which is why she gets scared whenever she sees me. I was really puzzled before I met Meng Hongtao. I didn't even know Lu Qingqing at all. Most importantly, we only met after college, while their relationship was a story from their school days. These two people have nothing to do with each other, yet Meng Hongtao believed anyone who said I was behind it. Meng Hongtao, I really want to ask you, where did you find out that I had someone bully her and then deliberately intimidate her? Meng Hongtao gave me a triumphant look. Do you need me to spell out what you've done yourself? You found out from someone that Qingqing was my former lover, even though we had broken up for a long time and she was no longer in the country. Yet you still went online to find people to cause trouble at her school, have her beaten, and threaten her not to return. Isn't all this you're doing? And ever since Qingqing came back, you've been deliberately causing her trouble. You know she's afraid of seeing you, yet you keep showing up in front of her, saying vague things that make her already fragile mental state even worse. You've done so many bad things, and now that the child is gone, it's your karma. From now on, just behave yourself and stop bothering Qingqing, and I'll forgive you." He spoke with righteous indignation, as if he had witnessed it himself, as if he's forgiving me. I can't help but laugh. I looked at Lu Qingqing and asked, "Miss Lu, is what he said true? Do you have evidence proving that I harmed you?" Lu Qingqing looked at Meng Hongtao with difficulty, and Meng Hongtao immediately felt a surge of blood, shielding her behind him. "Why are you yelling? You know Qingqing is afraid of you. Yet you speak to her like that. Do you really expect her to answer you?" "Of course not," I said with a smile. How could she admit to something she didn't do? I pulled out my phone from under the pillow and said with a smile, "I've recorded everything we just said. Don't worry, the law will clear our names." "What do you mean? What are you trying to do?" Meng Hongtao gave me a suspicious stare. I smiled faintly. "I will choose to sue you, along with the division of all our previous assets." "Oh, I officially inform you, we're breaking up." 6. When I mentioned breaking up, Meng Hongtao panicked. "Jiangli, you want to break up with me? Don't you know our wedding date is already set, and we've informed all our relatives and friends? Now you say you want to break up. What am I supposed to do?" Auntie Meng also quickly tried to persuade me. "Lily, don't act rashly. Let's talk things through slowly. You've been together for so many years. Breaking up would be such a pity." Only Lu Qingqing stood still without speaking, and from my perspective, she even seemed to be smiling. "Do whatever you want, it has nothing to do with me. If you want to make a big deal out of it, I don't mind telling your relatives and friends about your actions, Meng Hongtao was initially stunned, then smiled knowingly. Jiangli, if you think this act of playing hard to get will make me submit, you're mistaken. Watching his self-satisfied expression, an unnamed fury burned within my chest. I couldn't hold back any longer and grabbed the water cup from the side cabinet, throwing it at Meng Hongtao. Meng Hongtao didn't react in time, and his head was hit, causing a gash and blood to flow. This sudden action startled the usually quiet Lu Qingqing and even Meng's mother, who had been siding with me. How could you hit Hongtao? Meng's mother turned back, looking at me with displeasure. I finally saw her true colors, and any guilt I felt for remembering her kindness vanished. Meng Hongtao, holding his injured forehead, looked at me in shock. At my cold gaze, he instinctively took a step back. Before he could speak, a phone ring interrupted him. The call was from his superior, instructing him to return immediately for an investigation. Meng Hongtao left, and just as Lu Qingqing was about to leave, I called out to her, Lu Qingqing, wait for my court summons. All your actions will be met with the appropriate consequences. Lu Qingqing glared at me fiercely and turned to run away. I stayed in the hospital for 2 days, and only after being discharged did I realize how big the situation had become. Originally, the gas in my home wasn't leaking naturally. It was Lu Qingqing who sneaked over beforehand and opened the gas while I was resting. Then she sneaked back and called Meng Hongtao at the right moment. Meng Hongtao was also reported by everyone, and the one leading the charge was my grandson, Sun Ji. The reasons for the report are abuse of power, unauthorized use of professional equipment, failure to follow rescue instructions. In any case, with several charges against him, he was completely fired, and this will be recorded in his file, making it impossible for him to ever have a formal job. Fortunately, the gas at home was almost used up, so the explosion was limited and only half of the house was destroyed. It's also fortunate that the firefighters arrived in time and prevented the fire from spreading. The situation escalated significantly, and Meng Hongtao was named and featured in the news. Bored netizens started digging into the details of the incident. Without a doubt, they eventually uncovered the relationship between the three of us. When it comes to gossip, netizens are all-powerful. Overnight, the detailed timeline of our three's affairs was exposed to the public. Netizens discovered that Lu Qingqing's trip abroad was not for studying but for seeking rich benefactors and making money. The more money she made, the more extravagant Lu Qingqing's spending became. In the end, she got addicted to gambling and lost everything. She wanted to turn to the big shots for help, but they were just playing around and no one cared about her. Then she was dragged to the casino for 3 months, and after that, she was thrown out. With nowhere to go, she had to come back and latch onto Meng Hongtao, the easy target. Even her depression was fake. Meng Hongtao is seen by netizens as the epitome of a scumbag, engaged, with a child, yet still flirting with other women. When it comes to scumbags, people seem to despise the third party even more, especially those who knowingly interfere in a relationship. Both were torn apart by netizens. And Lu Qingqing truly experienced unprecedented online abuse, as if she was genuinely sinking into depression. After learning the truth, Meng Hongtao came back to seek my forgiveness, but I refused to see him, shutting the door in his face. Not long after, the two received the court summons I had filed against them. After half a month, the three of us finally met in court. The two defendants sat together, looking quite disheveled. After half a month of recuperation, I was much better physically. Due to the previous explosion incident, both of them became internet celebrities. Upon learning that they were being sued, many netizens came to watch the trial out of curiosity. I first sued them for defamation. I presented the recording and evidence of Lu Qingqing's harassment, effectively sealing their fate. Meng Hongtao looked at me with deep sorrow. Lily, I'm sorry, I didn't know you went through so much. I'm really sorry. He apologized to me in tears, as if he truly realized his mistake. The final outcome was that I won, and each person had to compensate me with 20,000 yuan for mental and reputational damages. I'd also demand daily apologies to me on major social media platforms for a month. In the second case, I sued Lu Qingqing for attempted murder and arson. She thought she could avoid being recognized by not showing her face and sticking to corners, but she forgot. The police are very capable. Her little schemes were all exposed by netizens, who sent her a variety of insults without using any profanity. I still won the lawsuit, but Lu Qingqing was not convinced and filed for an appeal. She thought that as long as she didn't admit it, everything would be fine. For the past 2 months, she has been constantly harassed, text message bombings, ghost calls, all sorts of strange deliveries, and animal carcasses appearing at her doorstep. All of this was driving her to the brink of madness. She also had to find time to sue me. After we presented the evidence of her purchasing the face-covering veil and jumpsuit online, and pieced together the surveillance footage and timeline of her sneaking out of her house, coming to mine, and turning on the gas, she completely fell apart. 7. Lu Qingqing was sentenced to 11 years and was immediately arrested in court. The lawsuit is over, and I walk out of the courthouse. I take a deep breath, feeling the air is sweet. This good mood lasted until I saw Meng Hongtao holding a bouquet of roses at my doorstep, and it instantly vanished. Lily, are you alright? I ignored him and tried to walk around him to open the door, but he blocked my path, forcing me to look him in the eye. He went on and on, rambling. Lily, I'm sorry, I was blind before and didn't see her true nature. Can you forgive me? Lily, you have to believe me. I was deceived by her lies and ended up hurting you. Can you forgive me? Please, Lily. After all these years together, are you really going to give up on me so easily? I love you so much. Please forgive me and give me another chance. Okay. I looked at him expressionlessly and slapped him across the face in the midst of his hopeful gaze. In that instant, I finally felt the pent-up anger in my chest release. Meng Hongtao was hit and staggered to one side, but he still smiled at me. It's okay, if you're not satisfied, you can slap me a few more times until you feel better. If your hand hurts, I can do it myself, he said and then prepared to slap himself. Meng Hongtao, don't you think you're dirty? Upon hearing this, Meng Hongtao stared at me in stunned silence. I let out a soft scoff. Don't tell me that nothing happened between you and Lu Qingqing during the months I was pregnant. I'm sure you don't even know how many men she's been with, do you? But you can think about it. Those 3 months she spent at the casino. And the scars that took so long to fade when she came back. You must have some idea in your mind. You stand before me now, like a rotting, moldy carcass that reeks of putrid stench. Just looking at you makes me sick. Meng Hongtao shook his head repeatedly. I didn't. It's not like that. Smack. I slapped him again, then took out my phone and opened WeChat. Last night, Lu Qingqing sent me a bunch of intimate photos of her and Meng Hongtao, all of them quite explicit. Looking at the photos on his phone, Meng Hongtao's face turned ashen. He suddenly knelt down in front of me and started slapping himself repeatedly. I'm sorry, I was wrong. I deserve to die. Honey, can you forgive me? You can hit me, scold me, or even stab me a few times if that's what it takes to calm you down. I'll do anything, as long as you're willing to stay by my side and forgive me. I grabbed his hair, forcing him to look up at me. Stay by your side, forgive you, Meng Hongtao. If it were you, and you were facing someone who caused your tragic death in your previous life, would you just accept their apology and I'm sorry, act like nothing happened, and obediently stay by their side? Meng Hongtao, I'm a human being, a living person, not some trash can that collects any kind of garbage. Hearing this, Meng Hongtao's eyes widened instantly, his face was filled with disbelief, and he stammered, Lily, you've also been reborn, haven't you? Of course, heaven couldn't stand your beastly behavior, so it allowed me to be reborn as well. Are you surprised? He shook his head and nodded, alternating between crying and laughing, which looked really funny. Lily, I'm sorry for our child, I'm not human. As he spoke, he slapped himself repeatedly, his face swelling, but he didn't stop. Meng Hongtao, I'm glad that child was never born. If he had been and ended up with a father like you, that would have been the greatest tragedy of his life. Get out, and stay as far away as possible. Don't ever show your face in front of me again. A professional lawyer will be contacting you to handle the property division. I hope you cooperate obediently. With that, I kicked him. I opened the door, slipped inside, and closed it behind me, shutting out the annoying crying. To my surprise, Meng Hongtao didn't play any tricks with the property division and even gave me an extra share. I didn't hesitate, and after receiving the transfer, I grabbed my suitcase and headed straight to the airport, to a city I had never been to but had always longed to visit. I settled in the new city and opened a coffee shop and a flower shop. I bought myself a small one-bedroom apartment and got a cat and a dog. My days are very leisurely. I open my shop whenever I feel like it, and if not, I go traveling. One night during my 4th year here, I received a strange call. A weak yet familiar voice came through the phone. Lily, I guess when you lose too much blood, you start seeing things. I think I see you. Lily, waiting for death to come is such a long and terrifying process. Lily, I'm sorry, this life, I wronged you. Next life, I'll love you properly, later. I received calls from the police and lawyers. He said Meng Hongtao had committed suicide and asked what was said in the last phone call. I replied, sorry, I thought it was a scam call and hung up directly. Indeed, as soon as I heard the first word Lily, I hung up. Later, the lawyer called and said Meng Hongtao had left me some money, asking me to sign to inherit it. I directly refused. Donate it, let those who need it more use it. After hanging up the phone, I looked at the freshly wrapped flowers in front of me and smiled as I handed them to the boy. Wishing you success in your confession. The boy smiled slightly, paid, and ran towards the girl waiting for him on the street corner. I watched the two figures fade into the distance, then turned back to tend to my flowers, continuing to wait for my next customer. 8. Extra chapter, Meng Hongtao. I didn't expect Jiangli to have been reborn as well. In fact, I sensed something was off when she unwaveringly said she wanted to break up, her gaze at me so cold and calm. No matter how great a person's change, it wouldn't be so drastic within just one day. Her gaze at me held no love, only sorrow after despair and anger fueled by deep-seated hatred. We had been together for 6 years, and I had never seen her like that. In that moment, I was afraid, but things changed too quickly, leaving no time for me to think. When I was called back to the rescue team and scolded by my leader, when everyone shoved the news video in front of me, and when Sun Ji and others loudly questioned me, I was completely stunned. I couldn't believe the truth. Because I had experienced this in my previous life, I felt everything was fake. Suddenly, Sun Ji grabbed my collar and punched me. He said viciously, "It's all your fault. If it weren't for you, how could things have come to this? Is it me? Could it really be that my rebirth changed the course of events, leading to a deviation in the outcome and causing such a disaster?" Before I could reflect on myself, I was suspended, due to my personal reasons. This disaster has been greatly affected. If I had acted as I did in my previous life and saved Jiangli, I would have been able to save Lu Qingqing as well. Yes, if I hurry, I should be able to make it. But why? Why did I choose to save Lu Qingqing over Jiangli? In that moment, I examined my own love. It seemed that ever since Lu Qingqing's death in my previous life, after her mother told me some ambiguous things, I had never trusted Jiangli again. When the truth was revealed, I realized it was all just Lu Qingqing's scheme to manipulate me. I went to confront Lu Qingqing about why she lied to me. At first, she cried and said she didn't. She just wanted to get closer to me. But then she revealed her true self, completely changing her usual delicate demeanor, and looked at me as if I were a fool. "It's not my fault you're so gullible. You believe whatever I say." I just cried a bit, heard Jiangli scream twice, and the rest, "That's all your own imagination." I paused for a moment, carefully recalling my interactions with her. She never actually said that Jiangli bullied or threatened her. She just didn't deny it when I voiced my suspicions. And I assumed I had uncovered the truth behind her illness, unjustly pinning the blame on Jiangli. After the incident, Qingqing and I were subjected to online attacks. I was called a scumbag, an idiot, and even predicted that I would die at the hands of a woman. She was called a homewrecker, a green tea, and a shameless seductress. Netizens also dug up some of her past overseas, including the fact that her depression was fake. She came to me crying, begging me to save her. I slapped her and told her to get out. She deceived me, leading me to kill my own child and destroy my feelings. We have been sued. Jiangli sued me once and sued Lu Qingqing twice. I was prosecuted once, and this life has turned me into a useless person. No one will hire me again, because of online bullying. Even setting up a street stall gets me cursed at. I have absolutely no way out. I went to seek Jiangli's forgiveness. She said, "How can you forgive someone who betrays you and then kills you?" In that moment, I knew there was no chance for us anymore. She left not long after it was all over. Only after losing her did I realize how happy I used to be, and the more I reminisce, the more I hate myself. I was really stupid, and I destroyed everything and my happy life with my own hands. This is all my own doing. I started to fall apart and numb myself with alcohol. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, only when I'm drunk can I see Jiangli. Over time, my parents couldn't stand it anymore. I was forced to see a psychiatrist, who diagnosed me with schizophrenia. I don't want to accept treatment. If I get better, I'll never see Jiangli again. That night, I acted as if nothing had happened. I went back to my room early, turned on the faucet for the fish tank, and left a handwritten suicide note. I lay in the bathtub and slashed my wrist. I was unusually bold just before my death. I dialed that number, and when the call connected, I spoke a lot. As I reached the end, I gradually ran out of strength and slowly closed my eyes. It seemed as if I saw Jiangli again, standing not far away, smiling at me. I remember the first time I saw her. This time, I will take the initiative and approach her. Story 2. The first thing I did after I was reborn was to expose my husband's affair with Chen Tang when he went on stage to receive an award. In the previous life, Chen Tang lived in my house as the widow of Sheningshan's deceased student, with Sheningshan's favoritism. She spent all my family's savings and even planned to take my children's living expenses. Later, Sheningshan was transferred to a big city, taking only Chen Tang with him. After that, he abandoned his wife and children and never returned again. When I asked him about it, he said that I was not worthy of going with him to a big city to enjoy a good life. After being reborn, I no longer stubbornly stick to the dilemma, but take the initiative to attack. This time I successfully divorced and got a share of the property. I turned around and went to find my aunt, acquired the internal employee shares of their factory, went to Iwu again. Many years later, the company where Sheningshan worked was restructured, and I bought out the company and became his boss. I said to him, "You are not suitable for management, but cleaning toilets is a good job for you." 1. There was a drizzle in the sky the day I went to see Sheningshan. Because I was weak and dizzy from hunger, the guard pushed me lightly and I fell into the mud. Just at this time, Sheningshan brought Chen Tang and his mother to me. Sheningshan frowned, looked down at me, and called me Shui, but he did not come forward to help me up. His eyes were complicated, with contempt amidst pity. It was clear that a long time ago, he had said to me with great joy, "Shui, you are really capable. With you around, all the hardships are sweet." But things slowly changed. His eyes gradually became fixated on Chen Tang, and he no longer paid any attention to me. He also began to become impatient with his 2 children. He also made arrangements to bring Chen Tang's son over. My consciousness became blurred and then gradually came together. The mud all over my body made me feel uncomfortable, but I was too weak to get up. Chen Tang's son laughed strangely. "Son Shui, a cheap woman from the countryside, stinks all over." Chen Tang quickly covered his mouth. What nonsense is this kid talking about? His eyes were vague, but he couldn't hide his pride. I reluctantly looked at the 3 of them. They were all wearing tweed jackets and looked respectable, like a family of 3, all in one. The mother and daughter had rosy complexions and looked well taken care of. So this is what they said about me behind my back after I took over my place. There was a big shift in the positions of both sides. In fact, when Chen Tang first came to my house, he was not much better than I am now. At that time, her son was not with her and was fostered in his grandmother's home. It was said that he had no food to eat. Chen Tang couldn't even take care of himself, so naturally he wouldn't take his son with him everywhere. Unlike now, the mother and son are both plump and happy. I wish I could ride a horse and parade through the streets. I looked at my son's skinny body beside me, and he kept trying to pull me up. But he was powerless. After several failures, I was sweating profusely. My heart suddenly felt like it was on fire, and anger was surging. I realized belatedly that Sheningshan had already brought Chen Tang's son to reunite with him so early. In my previous life, I didn't come here so quickly, so naturally I knew nothing about this. At that time, I was still working honestly in the county town to support my family. I served my mother-in-law diligently and tried my best to take care of my 2 children. After the implementation of family planning, I had an abortion, but I was unable to recover and ended up with a number of illnesses. There was no news from Sheningshan, and I didn't dare to ask more. Besides being financially strapped, I was also worried if something had happened to him. Who would have thought that they would rebuild their love nest and spend time with their lover? I struggled to get up and said to the mother and son, the child didn't know me, but called me by my name and said I was a stinky country woman. It must have been taught by an adult. Chen Tang covered his mouth in shock, his slender fingers as white as jade. In an instant, my eyes were filled with grievance and I couldn't stop crying. Sheningshan scolded me harshly. "Son Shui, why are you arguing with a child? He has been bullied before and is timid to begin with, don't scare him." After saying that, Sheningshan picked up the little boy, and the little boy called him affectionately, "Dad." As soon as these words were spoken, the son next to him was about to cry. Sheningshan was also a little flustered. He was humiliated and frightened because he had no father. He often had nightmares, so I let him shout like that. "Stop hiding it." My voice was icy cold. "Son Shui," I said in a cold voice, "my son is right here. And you haven't been able to hold him in your arms for many days since we were separated. You've been away from home for half a year. when you left, I had already found out I was pregnant. I should be a month older now. But my belly is flat. Where's the baby? You didn't even notice. Passers-by began to pay attention to us. Shan was a little flustered and tried to change the subject. Son Shui, why are you here instead of staying at home to take care of your mother? Catching an adulterer, I said sharply. Shan slapped me in the face in response. My ears were ringing and I was seeing stars. I don't know where I got the strength from, but I was able to stand steadily, and my son supported me with his weak body. I jumped up and slapped Shan in return. Shan's hair suddenly became disheveled, and he was no longer elegant and refined. The scene was so grand that pedestrians began to gather. Shan's fake polite face showed panic. Alright, Shui, we were too hasty today. I admit that I was wrong. You are covered in mud and water now. I will take you to the guest house to wash, I sneered. Aren't you going to take me home to clean it? Shan looked embarrassed and Chen Tang looked surprised. It was as if I was invading their private territory. Shan pointed to a building on the side of the road and said to me in a soothing tone, "This is our Exploration Bureau's guest house. We have 24-hour hot water. Stay here first and take a good bath. If you go home now, you'll have to boil water and walk a long way. It's better to stay here first. There aren't many pedestrians in the residential area during working hours, so now is not a good time for me to cause trouble. It would be nice to stay in a guest house first." I gave myself and my son a bath and bought some food. I felt heavy-hearted as I watched my son wolf down the food. My son Yizhuang suddenly burst into tears and said to me, "Mom, this wrap is so delicious, but it's a pity that my sister can't have it." My face was fierce, but my words were gentle. "It will be fine soon. You will all have a good life from now on, too." I was waiting for the family quarters to get off work. Just now, the gate guard brought Shan here. This time I will block him at the gate of the Exploration Bureau's residential area and expose his misdeeds to passers-by. Then, I will look for their leaders. Just as my heart was surging, a loudspeaker suddenly rang out throughout the family area. "The new commendation meeting is about to begin. Please ask the relevant personnel to take their seats as soon as possible, and please ask the leaders to take their seats on the stage." My heart moved and I pulled my son Yizhuang and walked out, heading towards the direction of the sound. With my steps getting faster and faster, a stage was set up in the center of the stands at the Exploration Bureau Stadium. After the leader's speech, the award winners began to come on stage to express their gratitude. Shan was the third to appear. He had obviously dressed up carefully, and his originally gentle and handsome appearance now looked even more respectable. I sneered in my heart and really wanted to drag him into the mud. Shan made a summary of his work and then began to express his gratitude. "Thank you for your recognition of me. I will work hard to improve. I also thank Comrade Chen Tang for her support for my work. Without her, I would not have achieved what I have now. Thank you to the bureau leaders for helping to arrange a job for Chen Tang and solving my worries." The audience started to boo. "When are you getting married?" Then there was another good-natured smile. There was a hint of embarrassment on Shan's face. Chen Tang, who was one step away from him in the audience, walked up to the stage. She said generously and appropriately, "Mr. Shen and I are comrades. I am the widow of his student. Mr. Shen just wants to help me. When I can stand on my own, he will bring his lover over." The audience suddenly fell silent for a few seconds. I slowly walked up to the stage and said to the couple, "Are you sure he will pick me up?" Chen Tang was surprised when he saw me, "Sister-in-law." Then I faced the audience and said slowly, "I am the wife of Mr. Shen," as she said, "when she can be independent, Mr. Shen will take me over." Amid everyone's surprised looks, I remained calm and said, "Everyone, please judge for me. Will Mr. Shen come to pick me up? He has been away from home for half a year and has not written a single letter home or sent a single cent. I was pregnant when he left home and he just ignored me. When he left home, my mother-in-law fell ill, but he ignored her and left her to me alone." Shan finally realized what was happening and retorted, "Before I left you 30 yuan, ha." I was just waiting for him to say this. 3. I continued to speak in a clear and logical manner. "Comrades from the family of the Exploration Bureau, our Exploration Bureau has field subsidies, and there are family buildings and canteens in various places. I would like to ask, who has only 30 yuan in assets?" My family originally had a few hundred yuan in assets, and a lot of food coupons. A year ago, Chen Tang came to my house, and in less than half a year, all of this was spent on her. They say it's to help the families in need, but they provide the best food and clothing. Later, the family ran out of money, and Shan was worried about the money for the children's milk and eggs. Shan finally got angry and said, "You are talking nonsense, you are slandering me." He took a step forward and tried to pull me away, but it was too late. The best time would have been to take a step earlier. He underestimated me, so he missed the opportunity. I went on to say, "Which of my words is false? The post office has records of all letters and money sent. Give them to me. I'll wait for you here. You said you were thinking about your child's milk money. My son is right next to me. Do you think I, as a mother, would lie to your face? Besides, after Chen Tang came to our house, he ordered double the milk. Look at Chen Tang's clothes, shoes, and watches. They are all new. Calculate how much they cost. It's all obvious. When you left home, I heard that the 30 yuan you gave me was an advance on your salary. The finance department of your company has it all and can verify the authenticity." There was a chorus of sighs from the audience. "As long as the finance department doesn't refute it, then it's true," I continued. Shan. "I earn 35 yuan a month, and your mother's illness costs 20 yuan. As for the remaining 15 yuan, I am a pregnant woman and have to raise 2 children. Do you have a conscience?" Shan was in a state of disgrace, and finally came to pull me away regardless of anything. "There is a misunderstanding here. Let's go home and talk about it. Chen Tang is indeed very scheming, and she still retains a trace of rationality." She sighed and said slowly, "Sister-in-law, you have rejected me since I entered your house. I know you are jealous, but I really have nowhere to go and have to live under someone else's roof. I have tolerated you for a long time." I got rid of Shan's pull and smiled sadly. "I reject you. I held your hand and helped you to pull the cloth to make clothes, and there were also other comrades' families in our bureau accompanying us. As a human being, you can't be an ungrateful person. If you and Shan hadn't gone too far and spent all the family money, and even gave you the child's milk to drink, I wouldn't have turned hostile." There was an uproar in the audience, with everyone talking at once. Some people said, "This is a family matter and cannot be discussed on stage." "Tisk, I already told you everything, and you just remembered it now. What's the point?" Many more people said, "I didn't expect Shingon to be such a person. This is really too much." There were also people who were not afraid of causing more trouble and said, "I was transferred here with Engineer Shen, and what this elder sister said is basically the truth. It's just that family matters. We don't know." Someone else said, "What's unclear, Mr. Shen treats Chen Tang like the apple of his eye. Who does he think is a fool?" Just now when Mr. Shen finished speaking, someone asked them to get married. For Shan's face turned pale, and he opened his mouth to defend himself. "I just wanted to help my comrades. Maybe I went too far in some places, but I also had good intentions." He tried to divert the focus by portraying himself as a goody-goody. Chen Tang spoke again. "I did spend some money from your family. That's because when I first came to your house, it was really difficult. But later my ex-husband's family sent me money, so I can't count everything as your family's relief." Her move was like cutting off the source of the problem. "But I was reborn and I still have some natural advantages. I checked Chen Tang's background a long time ago." Then, a strange smile appeared on my face. This smile made Chen Tang shudder. I continued to speak slowly. "Shan, you brought Chen Tang back because of your student Zhou Jing. You said Zhou Jing helped you a lot and you wanted to repay him, so you had to take care of his widow. Is that right?" Shan finally regained some confidence and replied, "It was then, and it is still now." I smiled coldly, "But I went to visit Zhou Jing's home. Although Zhou Jing's parents are sick, they are still alive." Chen Tang's originally elegant face and calm expression finally cracked. I suddenly smiled. And in my smile there was a determination that others could not understand. "I dealt them a fatal blow," I asked in a deep voice, "but Zhou Jing's parents have never received any condolences from you. Do you have any choice in repaying Zhou Jing? Do you only want to repay his wife?" Zhou Jing's face was grim. "Sun Shui, stop biting people." Some leaders could not stand it any longer. "These are just family matters. There may be some misunderstandings. Just go home and explain it clearly." Someone came over immediately and tried to drag me down. Chen Tang seemed to be unable to bear the humiliation. He covered his face with his hands, sobbed, and tried to run off the stage. Just at this moment, someone in the audience shouted at the leader who had just tried to smooth things over, "Li Liren, you were having an affair with other women out there, and now you come out to defend a scumbag. I'm going to fight you." After saying that, she also wanted to run to the stage. Someone helped to hold the older sister back. "Li Liren, trying to smooth things over, shook his head and sighed, then finally sat down. I broke free from the person pulling me and yelled at Chen Tang, who was about to leave the stage, "Stop, why are you running? Are you feeling guilty?" Chen Tang stopped as expected. I shouted with all my strength, "Everyone, listen carefully. I went to Zhou Jing's hometown. His parents told me that their daughter-in-law, Chen Tang, had written a letter of denunciation to their unit when Zhou Jing was misunderstood, accusing him out of nothing. Zhou Jing could have returned home immediately, but it was because of this letter that Zhou Jing almost went to jail and eventually died in the detention center." As soon as I said this, everyone was shocked. No one could remain calm anymore and started talking loudly. Chen Tang weakly defended himself. "You are talking nonsense." I hit him hard again. Zhou Jing's parents also heard it from Zhou Jing's leader. "You can go to Zhou Jing's unit to check this matter." I went to Zhou Jing's unit to check it repeatedly on their behalf. I am responsible for what I said. As soon as I finished speaking, Chen Tang fainted. Shaningshan wanted to go forward and take a look, but finally stopped. I asked Shaningshan again, "Shaningshan, I found out about the report letter as soon as I checked it out. Don't you know about it, or did you already know about it? But just because you like Chen Tang, you didn't bother with her, even. You framed your own student and tried to take his wife away. Have you and Chen Tang been planning this for a long time?" Shaningshan finally panicked, and before he could open his mouth to explain, I went up and kicked him. He was so weak at this moment that he fell to the ground and was finally covered in mud. At this time, General Manager Liu, the most senior leader of the Exploration Bureau, stood up and said to me, "Comrade Sun, many of the things you said are well-founded and clearly connected. However, this is a matter of great importance, so we still need to verify it. Also, if you have some guesses, please don't say them out loud in public. Let's avoid amplifying the negative impact." "Okay, I am very grateful that my leader has tolerated me until now. If he protected me, I would not have the chance to expose Shaningshan in public, so I stepped down from the stage feeling satisfied." 5. Shaningshan and I were taken to the mediation room together. Mr. Liu personally took charge of the matter. He said to me, "Comrade Sun, I've heard of you. You're a very virtuous person. This matter has become so serious. What do you want?" I replied calmly, "I request the organization to agree to dissolve my marriage with Shaningshan and give me the share of the family property that I deserve. I know that Chen Tang has already spent all of Shaningshan's money, but he can get an advance on his salary. No matter what position he holds in the future, his organizational relationship will not change. The Bureau should be able to satisfy me on this point." Mr. Liu nodded. I continued, "In order to satisfy Chen Tang's material needs, Shaningshan even ignored his own mother, so I ask for the custody of the 2 children, and Shaningshan must pay child support." The HR officer next to General Manager Liu said, "Those of you who live together should stop talking about divorce all the time. Look at how many people actually get divorced, and in the end they still have to make do with each other. Big sister, you've taken things too far." I said resolutely, "If anyone can get a divorce, I will get one too." Before Shaningshan came here, he was too biased towards Chen Tang at home. You only heard a few words and don't know the whole story. Shaningshan, who had been bowing his head, suddenly raised his eyes and pleaded, "Shui, I know I was wrong, I was deceived. Please forgive me this time." I shook my head. "You are not deceived, you are willing to be deceived. You like Chen Tang, so you are easily deceived. Besides, I'm still not sure whether you were involved in framing Zhou Jing." Shaningshan suddenly became excited. "Sun Shui, am I so unbearable in your eyes?" I nodded, "Yes, even worse." So I told my boss what happened after Chen Tang came to my house and I firmly demanded a divorce. 6. At that time, Chen Tang had been in my house for 3 months and still regarded himself as a guest. He had breakfast like the other children, eating eggs and drinking milk every day. That morning, all the eggs and milk in her bowl were gone. Chen Tang looked at the white rice porridge in front of him and his eyes turned red. Shaningshan noticed it immediately and threw the bowl on the table with a bang. With a red face, she challenged me, "Sun Shui, is this how you treat your guests?" I sighed and put down the bowl as well. "A good cook cannot cook without rice." "Shaningshan, I told you a long time ago that the family has run out of money. We have no more food coupons, so we can't buy eggs." Shaningshan's chest heaved with anger. I continued, "When your father was alive, he made a rule that the good things in the house should be given to the children. Eggs for daughters and milk for sons. It has never changed. The food coupons for fine grains are limited. I have tried my best to feed Chen Tang white rice. She eats white rice, you eat sorghum rice and white rice, and I can only eat whole grain buckwheat noodles. As a family, we need to eat several kinds of breakfast, and I have to get up at 5 in the morning to make them. If you still have this family in your heart, please understand me." Chen Tang covered his face and ran out crying. My heartfelt words turned into bullying her. Shining Shan glared at me angrily and chased after me. He pulled the man back and made him sit back in his original position. On the weekend, the two children got up a little later and were just washing up and preparing to go to the table for dinner. Under the gaze of the child, Shining Shan picked up his daughter Nanan's egg, peeled it and gave half to Chen Tang. He poured out half of his son Xiaozhuang's milk and put it in front of Chen Tang. Then he smiled at Chen Tang soothingly. "It's okay, eat. I have the final say in this family." Chen Tang also responded with a charming smile, and then began to eat proudly. He also gave me a provocative look. Nan, whose half of the egg was taken away, burst into tears. I didn't have time to investigate anything and could only comfort the child first. My son also stood beside me with red eyes. 7. I took my child back to my parents' home that day. Shining Shan came over and repeatedly assured me that he would send Shen Tang away, and only then did I go home with him. As a result, as soon as he got home, Shining Shan's face changed. He pushed me hard and said angrily, "Make trouble, make trouble, make trouble, just make trouble." "I married a living ancestor," I responded coldly. "The living ancestor is in the master bedroom. He is fed and clothed like a guest. But you are the master of the house, and you have full access." Shining Shan's face changed slightly, but he quickly regained his arrogance. "I knew you didn't like her, and I knew you were just being magnanimous," I said. "I pretended to be generous and spent all my family's money on her. So what if I was really generous? I sold myself out." Shining Shan waved his hand impatiently. "I won't argue with you. Housewives like you are good at quarreling." He paused, then pretended to be kind and said to me, "It's not impossible to solve the problem. Just ask your mother to give you back the $8 she gave you for babysitting." My son Xiaozhuang was already in kindergarten, and my daughter Nan was not yet of age, so my mother took care of them. I gave her 8 yuan every month, which was the common practice at the time. I sneered and said, "Go talk to my mom yourself." I added, "The neighbors are talking about you. They know you are shameless, but they didn't know you were shameless to this extent. I might as well tell them about it." Shining Shan's face flushed. "Why are you gossiping with those aunties again?" I sneered. "Why don't others talk about me?" Shining Shan choked. After taking a breath, he said, "I won't bother with you gossipy women." Then he adjusted his mood and said, "There is actually a way to completely solve the problem. You give the job to Chen Tang, and you stay home to look after the children. From now on, I will not care about her anymore and we will never have any contact again. What do you think?" He knew how precious work was in that era. I was shocked by his shameless words. He thought I was convinced and further advised me, "Help her to the end. I want her to be able to earn a living on her own. Don't you mind the relationship between us. The solution is right in front of you now. If you don't let me, don't stop me from helping others in the future." I took a deep breath and said, "This job belonged to my father. He retired early and I took over." He waved his hand again and said impatiently, "People always have to make choices. Not everything will go your way." 8. Just when we were arguing, the transfer order came from above. Shining Shan was transferred to work in a big city and had to leave our small county town. He is an employee of the Exploration Bureau and works here. He got to know me through someone's introduction. I was supposed to go with him, and the Exploration Bureau would naturally arrange work for me. But I didn't expect that Shining Shan took advantage of the Cold War with me and unilaterally decided to take Chen Tang away. Before leaving, he said to me coldly, "It's easier to find a job in a big city. I'll take Chen Tang away first. I'll pick you up later. You should also reflect on yourself at home." I said, "I'm pregnant. Don't you have any plans?" Shining Shan said coldly, "Now that you know I'm your husband, you want to rely on me. Aren't you very powerful? You talked about me behind my back with the neighbors, and you asked them to help you." After saying that, he started packing his luggage. Before leaving, I heard him talking to Chen Tang. Their conversation was full of longing and desire for the big city, and they also talked about me. Shining Shan said, "Sun Shui is well known for her hard work, but in the end, she is destined to be a hard worker. She won't be lucky enough to go back to the big city with me." The conversation paused for a long time, and Shining Shan seemed to be hiding something when he said, "It's better to let her calm down alone." Shining Shan didn't say what this meant. I had a bad feeling at that time that Shining Shan would not take me over, but after being reborn, I don't care about reuniting with him. I just want to get the family property and then go find my aunt. They will have a shareholding reform in a few years, and all employees will receive original shares. A worker's family is in urgent need of money and doesn't want the original shares. I want to buy them back. When the original shares are listed in the second year, the price will increase more than 10 times. If I don't accept it, someone else will. In the previous life, those shares were taken by a few local hooligans. It's my turn this time. I want this money to be my first pot of gold. 9. I almost choked up as I told you about the situation at home at that time. The HR department clerk couldn't stand it anymore and frowned more and more. He asked Shan coldly, Mr. Shen, is it true that you proposed to give your wife's job to Chen Tang? Shan saw that the situation was not good, his face turned red, and he stammered, Mr. Lu also looked solemn. Shan pleaded, leader. I was really confused for a moment. I didn't mean to abandon my wife, I sneered. When did I become a wife of poverty? I graduated from high school and worked as a pattern maker in a garment factory, a level 6 technician. If I hadn't been busy having a baby in the past 2 years, I would have been the deputy factory director, and my salary would have been raised by at least 2 levels. Shan's face turned even redder. I didn't mean that. The situation was just in my favor when Li Liren, who had just been exposed in public by his wife, walked in. He took a sip of water and glanced at Shan. The two exchanged glances, and then Li Liren said, Comrade Sun, we know you have been wronged, but you should also be magnanimous and give comrades a chance to correct their mistakes. My heart sank. Li Liren put down the water cup heavily and said in a cold voice, it is our consistent style not to kill comrades with one blow. We know you're suffering, and the leaders will hold a meeting to discuss it. After saying that, he turned and left. Mr. Lu looked at his departing figure and said to me, Comrade Sun, Mr. Li is the vice president in charge of personnel. We should pay attention to his opinions, but we always insist on fairness in doing things, so don't worry. The personnel officer next to me also gave me a look and said, Sister Sun, the policy of freedom of marriage is there, and your request will not be ignored. Wait and see. The unit will have to mediate. Shan looked left and right, his expression changing unpredictably. He frowned and said, my feelings for Sun Shui are still there. She was just angry for a while. It will be fine once she calms down. I took advantage of the situation and slapped Shan again, knocking his face crooked. His eyes were red and swollen, and he looked at me in disbelief. I spat in his face again. You're a slut, and you bully your wife when you get home. Now that the wind is blowing in your favor, you want me to forgive you. Dream on. I won't forgive you even if you die. Shan's face was full of grievance, but he didn't dare to get angry. Mr. Lu told me, Mr. Li's opinion is that we should continue the mediation. No matter what, there will be no result today. Please wait. Shan said aggrievedly, Leader, I don't want a divorce, I sneered. You are afraid that if you get divorced, your reputation as a morally corrupt person will be established. I tell you clearly, if you delay me for 1 day, I will continue to expose you to my comrades for 1 day. There are many other things that I can't remember at the moment, so let's sort them out slowly. Shan took off his disguise and looked at me with a gloomy face. I looked back at him with the same vicious look and continued, Mr. Li's wife also stood up just now. Mr. Li is clearly of the same ilk as Shan. I won't accept letting a leader like him make the decision. I'm going to find the Women's Federation. Mr. Lu patted my shoulder soothingly and said, Comrade Sun, don't worry, I'll give you a result in a few days. As leaders, we don't want this matter to continue to spread and cause even worse consequences. I'll talk to Mr. Li. 10. Having said that, I won't be at peace as long as this marriage lasts. I comforted myself, guarded against arrogance and impatience, and allowed the situation to develop in a more favorable direction. Thinking about this, I suddenly remembered that the watch on Chen Tang's hand was bought by Shan and her. I have to get it back. Chen Tang should still be at Shan's house. The Exploration Bureau has arranged a job for her in a subordinate unit, and her personnel relationship should have been transferred as well, without a letter of introduction from the unit. She can't go anywhere. As soon as I thought of this, I quickly stood up and said, in that case, I will go back and wait for news. The child will be scared if he is alone for a long time. I will come to your office tomorrow and wait here. The personnel officer tried hard to hold back his laughter. I took the child from the women's officer and thanked her profusely. Then we followed Shan home. The women's affairs officer followed us, fearing that there would be a big mess along the way. Shan tried to talk to me several times, but I ignored him. But he said something that I listened to. He gave the family housing allocated by the unit to Chen Tang and her son, and he himself lived in the unit's collective dormitory. I thought to myself, this is great, I can catch the turtle in the jar. Our group arrived at Shan's so-called home. As soon as the door was opened, Chen Tang's son ran over and threw himself into Shan's arms, shouting, "Dad, I'm so scared. Mom is crying so hard." Shan sighed, looked back at me, and dared not say anything. When I entered the house, I saw all the decorations were new to me. As Shan said, a big city is a place of enjoyment, but he wouldn't share it with me. He and I have been married for 6 years. I have been thrifty, filial to my parents-in-law, and raised my children. I don't know how I have let him down. In my previous life, I really wanted to ask him, is it so easy to abandon your wife and children? At this point, I am standing in this place that was once out of my reach, but suddenly I have no desire to pursue it. All I was thinking was, how much are all these pieces of furniture worth? Then I rushed to Chen Tang, took off her watch and put it in my pocket. Chen Tang was crying and staring at Shan's face. I took advantage of her not reacting and took off her brooch. Then I ran to the closet and took away her coat and a few clothes made of nice fabrics. Then she pretended to be embarrassed and turned to the women's officer and said, I agreed to provide her with food and drink, but I never agreed to buy her expensive items. After all, these things were obtained by her through fraud, so I naturally have to take them back. Then my eyes turned red and I further explained, the family is short of money, and we don't have money for the next meal for the children. When I arrived here, Shan arranged for me to stay in a guest house, but he didn't even buy a meal for the children. The money spent on these things has taken away from our family's living expenses, my children and I don't have enough to eat at home. I saw the women's officer's eyes were red. She continued, just take it, it will provide some nutrition for the child. I think Mr. Shan will agree. We all turned around to look at Shan, only to see that his hand, which was about to rest on Chen Tang's shoulder, paused. Chen Tang cried like a tearful person. I felt sorry for him and sobbed, Brother Shan, I didn't slander Zhou Jing. I just wanted to draw a line between us. I was very scared at the time and someone instigated me. I felt dizzy and then, I smiled jokingly and said, yes, you got your head in a trance and killed your man, then you went to another man, other men. When they got their heads in a trance, abandoned their wives and children, the women officers laughed along. I continued, you two are both easily dizzy, you are a perfect match. 11. I stared at the ceiling in a daze. This home is clean, convenient, wealthy, and comfortable. It is indeed incompatible with my image of the working class, but people's nobility and inferiority are never divided in this way. This is not what I was taught since childhood, but it's a testament to what one man is capable of. I don't covet these material things, but I wish I had the ability to obtain them. There is a huge difference between not wanting something and not being able to get it. The women's officer was afraid that we would make a bigger fuss, so she persuaded Shan to go back to the dormitory first and talk about it tomorrow. It's the middle of the night and I'm tossing and turning. Suddenly, I remembered that there was someone who might not be able to sleep like me. I planned to meet her. I arrived at the guest house where Chen Tang was staying. When he saw me coming, Chen Tang's arrogance in front of me for half a year finally faded. I sat down on the chair without hesitation and went straight to the point without beating around the bush. You still have room for maneuver. She looked up at me in surprise, a little dazed. In her mind, she was the smart one and I was the one being fooled. She stammered, will you still help me? I stopped pretending and casually stretched my legs and stretched my body. I replied to her, of course I don't mind helping you if it's good for me. Then I smiled jokingly, anyway, I don't have to do anything. It will be a downhill road for you and Shan from now on. Chen Tang's face turned pale. I reminded her, if you just sit there and wait for death, it is very likely that Shan will come ashore alone, and you will be doomed. Chen Tang's lips were cracked and trembling, and he couldn't utter a word for a long time. I smiled coldly. How far have you and Shan progressed? She responded in a stressful way. We are innocent. I interrupted her. Think about it again. She was stunned and repeated subconsciously, think about it carefully. What do you think about? I smiled but said nothing. 12. The next morning, I went to the reception desk of the Exploration Bureau. Chen Tang, who arrived earlier than me, had already finished meeting with the leader and came out. She and I walked in opposite directions, with each other understanding tacitly. The leader sent his secretary out and told me kindly to go back and wait for news. and that there was no need to talk today. I knew it was about done, people still have to save themselves. I quickly went to the private market and asked the vendors to take away all the furniture in the house and Chen Tang's watch, holding a few $100s in cash. I felt extremely relieved. On the way back, I saw Shining Shan and Chen Tang standing in an alley near the guest house and talking. I snorted in my heart. These two people were originally in the same room and they didn't know how to be shy. Now they finally knew how to be afraid of what others said. I quietly touched over. Shining Shan said in a sad voice, "What did you say to the leader? Why was I temporarily suspended?" Chen Tang felt wronged but forbearing. "I just told the truth. I said I like you, you helped me so hard, you must like me too. What else can I say?" Shining Shan's voice trembled. "What did you say? How could you say such shameless words to your leader?" Chen Tang burst into tears. "Brother Shen, isn't it good for us to be together? I didn't mean to hurt Zhou Jing, who would get married to make their life miserable. Everyone wants to live a good life." Shining Shan said, "You are trying to protect yourself. No. You are also adding insult to injury. I don't dare to live with you, everything else is fine, but this is the only thing I am afraid of. I am afraid that one day I will be misunderstood like Zhou Jing, and you will immediately." Chen Tang burst into tears. "Who hasn't made mistakes, Brother Shen? Have you never made mistakes?" Shining Shan asked in confusion. "What did I do wrong? I just don't know people well." Chen Tang bit his lip and said hesitantly, "But the organization said you were having affairs with both men and women." Shining Shan was even more confused. "What did you report to your superiors?" Chen Tang still said the same thing. "Just tell the truth and say that you are interested in me." "What?" Shining Shan was shocked. "How can you say that? When did I?" "That time when you were drunk, you kissed me, and then," Chen Tang said shyly but bravely. Before she could finish, Shining Shan covered her mouth with his hand. After letting go, he couldn't wait to ask, "Did you tell the organization about this too?" Chen Tang nodded. "I dare not lie." Shining Shan asked tremblingly, "Did you take the initiative to report to the organization?" Chen Tang shook his head. "They were the ones who found me." Shining Shan closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, he lowered his head resignedly. 13. The bureau finally approved my divorce with Shining Shan. All the conditions are up to me. I left with a couple $100 in my pocket. I knew clearly in my heart that Chen Tang would definitely not just tell those things to the leader, whether it was true or false. She would definitely confirm her relationship with Shining Shan, because that's what I hinted to her that night. If she said this, she would tie herself to Shining Shan. Shining Shan has become a completely morally corrupt person, and his future is ruined. It is a blessing in disguise that he can keep his current position. I don't want him to be demoted too much because he still has to pay me high child support. Naturally, there will be others who will be held accountable for the mistakes made by Chen Tang. This is all later. As for whether these two dogs end up together, I don't care. I took my children and parents to the city where my aunt lives, and prepared to do something big here first. I informed my sister-in-law in advance and she rented a house for me. In terms of work, my father helped me find an acquaintance and transferred me from a regular employee in the county town to a temporary worker in my aunt's unit. My father also thought divorce was shameful, so he tried his best to help me leave my hometown. You see, as long as you move forward on your own, there will always be someone to help you. I once thought that my father would find me embarrassing and would not let me go home, but in fact, there are other ways to stay away from trouble. The old man tolerated me for the sake of his grandson. On the other hand, I showed them my passbook and they were surprised by the amount of money in it. When I lost my status as a formal employee, I also gave them hope that I could protect myself. Food coupons have begun to be gradually cancelled. The world is changing, and my parents are finally no longer sticking to the old ways. Their support is very important. The timing of my rebirth was not very good. I already had children, and without their care, my future would have been difficult. I was reborn after the abortion. The doctor made an appointment with me to get an IUD, but I was always bleeding from my lower body. One day after quarreling with my mother-in-law, I fainted on the side of the road and had a long dream. The dream was so real that I thought it was probably my past life. In my dream, Shining Shan really didn't come to pick me up, he just dragged me along in a daze. I have to take care of my bad-tempered mother-in-law, and we quarrel over trivial matters every day. It always takes a lot of energy for me to raise children by myself. When the wave of layoffs came, I was among the first to be laid off. Life was miserable. During this period, Shining Shan had no children to burden him, and he was motivated and promoted repeatedly. when he came back to visit his relatives, he was surrounded by people, even county leaders were there to accompany him. His car was parked at the entrance of the alley and he walked home by himself. When he met me on the way, he pretended not to see me. I was pushed down by the crowd, and he just paused for a moment without even giving me a hand. At that time, I thought that even if it was a stranger or an important person, they would come to help me if they saw me fall, even if it's just symbolic. So, after he came back from this visit, I went to his city and found his workplace. By that time, Shining Shan had already established a strong foundation, and even if I found someone to denounce him for not providing living expenses for the family, he was easily sent back. I wasted my youth under Shining Shan's harsh treatment. It was not until we were over 40 and times had progressed that he finally divorced me and found a way to get me out of the house. Finally, he married Chen Tang in a grand ceremony. Therefore, the first thing I will do after my rebirth is to expose these bastards and make sure they never get out of trouble again. As for the rest, we can slow down a bit. When I become successful, we will settle the accounts of both lives together. 14. My sister-in-law's company produces bearings, which is not related to my major, but I was diligent and studious, so I changed my career and started as a fitter, and worked my way up in the factory. In the evening, my parents helped me take care of the children while I went to the TV university to major in English. After a few years of hard study, my advantage in English has become very obvious. The news of the factory's share reform finally spread, and the workers were talking about it. Then one day, the boot finally fell. The factory should allocate internal employee shares to each worker. Some needy workers were unwilling to accept it and preferred to receive cash. Some workers misunderstood that their bonuses were reduced and offered shares instead. Later, in order to calm the discussion, the factory agreed that everyone could resell the products. I stood up and told the factory leader, "If you can give me the status of a formal employee, I am willing to buy out all the shares held by everyone." Asking for the status of a formal employee was just a bluff. Buying shares was my real purpose. I am a temporary worker. When I am not busy on weekdays, I will take leave to go to the south to stock up and set up a stall to sell some fashion items. Everyone sees that I am always busy and not living a peaceful life, and they don't know what I am trying to achieve. Someone asked me, "Don't you want to live a stable life?" I certainly don't want to live a stable life. I had too many stable days in my previous life. I was steadily poor and trapped in a marriage. What's the good of that? But I still answered kindly, "I have elderly people and children to support, and the burden is heavy," so everyone sympathized with me and understood me. My boss turned a blind eye to my frequent leave, so the money I had in my hands had already multiplied several times. I proposed to buy shares that others didn't want, which was not a small amount of money. Everyone knew that I was doing business outside, but they didn't know I could save so much money. Everyone was surprised. I took out the divorce certificate between Shining Shan and me at the right time, and the property distribution column clearly stated the property I received. In order to solve the immediate problem, the factory leaders promised to give me a vacancy for a formal job once one became available, and I successfully got the shares. There was no stock exchange at that time, and the stocks I held were paper certificates with my name written in the endorsement holder column. I put the stocks in my arms with satisfaction. After working in the factory for some time, some people started to become jealous of me, so I left the factory on the pretext of poor interpersonal relationships. After another year of business, the Shanghai Stock Exchange finally opened. When the stocks I held increased tenfold, I sold them all. Then I went to Jiangsu, Zhejiang, and Shanghai. And after a tour, I started applying for a visa. It was then that I realized that the money I had was not enough to do foreign trade business. 15. I currently have 100,000 yuan in my hand, which is a huge sum of money for my family, but when I really came to the step of applying for a visa, I found out that the airfare alone would cost tens of thousands of dollars. International trade is not that easy, but I did see quite a few foreigners purchasing in Jiangsu and Zhejiang areas. And I could sense that they didn't know the way around and were just wandering around blindly. In this way, I also strengthened my determination to earn US dollars. If you do foreign trade well, you can definitely make a fortune. Where should I start? I thought of a stupid way. I took advantage of my language skills and held up a sign at the Shanghai airport reception area to specifically welcome foreigners who came to purchase. At first, I was not trusted, but I persisted day by day. Gradually, clients started coming to me. I brought foreigners to the factory and the manufacturer gave me a commission. Later, I set up a foreign trade company. At that time, foreign trade companies also had to have qualifications and financial guarantees, and I got all of these. Business is booming. Looking back, I haven't used my memories of my previous life for a long time. I have come this far entirely on my own. A few years later, I bought a house and an office in Shanghai. Life is already a different scene. 16. The child support was paid to me by the trade union of Shan's unit and deducted from his salary. One time, the child support was paid late, so I called to ask for it. Actually, I don't mind this little money. I just want to make Shan unhappy. Unexpectedly, I got an important message during this phone call. After I exposed the news that Shan abused his wife and children, he has never been able to get a foothold in the Exploration Bureau. Even though he was a technical backbone, his colleagues would avoid him when they saw him, not to mention organizational promotion. Later, during personnel adjustments, he was demoted twice. After enduring this for a few years, he regressed while others made progress. People used to respectfully call him Engineer Shen, but later they all called him Lao Shen. Later, the young rookies no longer called him by his name, but just called him Hey. Shan couldn't bear it any longer and applied for a transfer to a company under the Exploration Bureau. It was changed from a cadre system to an enterprise and institution system. A few years later, the unit where Shan worked had poor operating performance and was restructured and allowed to be bought out privately. When I got the news, I immediately took my children back to the city where Shan was. In theory, Grandma was seriously ill and wanted the child to see her for the last time. In fact, I was going to kill two birds with one stone. You can buy a factory at a suitable price and become Shan's boss. Why not do it? I pretended to be unintentional and had a meeting with the top leaders of the Exploration Bureau. They were all surprised to learn that I wanted to buy out the factory where Shan worked. After knowing that I made my fortune over the years with the inheritance I got from him, the leaders all praised me for my ability and said that Shan was blind. Shan is the person in charge of that company. According to the rules, the original person in charge should be given priority when the company buys out, but the price I offered was high. On the day of power transfer, I met Shan again after many years. His hair was disheveled, his face was stiff, and he looked dejected. If I hadn't interfered, he would have been the private owner of this factory now. It's not easy for a person to accept the gap from great hope. When he saw me coming, he was stunned. Then he looked at me with a complicated expression and asked, Shui, why are you here? His tone of voice was wretched and his face was old, a far cry from the glory of his previous life. I smiled and said, I didn't come back to reminisce with you. Shan was embarrassed for a moment, then calmed down immediately. He calmly answered me, Shui, I did something wrong, but at that time, Chen Tang and I were really innocent, and I have paid the price over the years. Paid the price? Is this what you call paying the price? Then what does it matter that I was tortured by him and lived a lonely life in my previous life? I sneered and said nothing. The head of the Exploration Bureau said to Shan, Old Shen, you never imagined that the private owner who bought our factory was Sun Shui. Shan was unable to accept it for a moment. He even laughed at first and was about to agree with him out of habit. Suddenly, he came to his senses and realized that he was under a spell and could no longer move. His mouth was wide open and he was breathing heavily, like a fish that had just been fished out of the water. Gasping for air in despair, the leader then sighed. It's really amazing that the skinny mother back then has become so prosperous now. After adjusting his thinking, the leader continued, shake hands with the new leader. From now on, you will no longer be under my supervision, but under hers. Then the leader started to joke. People always joke that they are under the management of their wives. Old Shen, you have come to this after all this twists and turns. Shan laughed awkwardly again and again, his mouth corners twitching and his expression extremely unnatural. He stammered to me, congratulations. I sat there with a half-smile on my face, watching him fail miserably. He hesitated and asked, where did you get the money? The head of the Exploration Bureau was happy for me and said to him sarcastically, the starting capital is the 800 yuan from your inheritance. How about it? You can do it, right? Shan's face turned pale. I also said, I should also thank our Exploration Bureau for doing justice for me. The leader looked at me with a smile and said, as it should be, we should not blame a good person, nor let a bad person go. As if he was very satisfied with his own level of humor, the leader laughed again. Shan's pale face became increasingly dead silent. At the end, he had not forgotten the most important point. He asked the leader of the Exploration Bureau. Where will my organizational relationship be in the future? Will it still be in the Exploration Bureau? The leader smiled warmly, but his words were icy cold. Of course not. You will be an employee of a private enterprise in the future. Shiningshan's body shook for a moment, and he asked in disbelief, how is this possible? I am a corporate employee with a career system. The leader patiently explained. It won't be the case in the future. Reforms are always painful, old Shin. You are an old employee and you should understand that there is work everywhere and you can shine everywhere. Shiningshan stammered and could not utter any more words. 17. After the leader left, I started to take over the work step by step. One day I heard that Li Liren, who worked there, also went to work in the enterprise and encountered restructuring. I quickly called my friend and asked him to come and participate in the buyout. In this way, Li Liren repeated the mistakes of Shiningshan. I had to go to the Exploration Bureau for some work related to employee placement, and I happened to meet Li Liren, who stood at the door of the leadership and yelled, I am a cadre, why do I have to work for a private company now? Soon, he was taken away by the security department. As he passed by me, a pair of dead fish eyes stared at me. I laughed mockingly. This man who almost ruined my plans and yet seemed to control my destiny. This seemingly great man finally fell like a mountain. 18. After completing the placement of the company's employees, I started targeting Shiningshan. He serves as my deputy and assists me in management, but I denied and suppressed them everywhere. He is in an insignificant position in the company. He approached me many times to show his goodwill, but I coldly rejected him every time. He asked me about my child, and I asked Xiaozhuang to bring Nan Nan to see him. As a result, Nan Nan brought an egg and cut it in half in front of him. One half fell to the ground and was crushed by her foot, and the other half was thrown on Shiningshan. She said coldly and angrily, if you like it so much, eat as much as you want. Xiaozhuang walked up to him, slapped him hard, and said, I'm doing this for my mother. I've wanted to do this for a long time. Shiningshan's head was tilted by the blow and he looked at Xiaozhuang in disbelief. He defended himself. Over the years, I have paid you child support on time. And it was your mother who initiated the divorce. Xiaozhuang acted like a young master. Who cares about your little money? I earn more as a translator now. I collect it on time every month because I don't want you to live too comfortably. After all, the small amount of money I receive is also a burden to you. How can I reduce your burden? Shiningshan's face turned pale. He could no longer stay there and ran away as if escaping. I heard that he finally married Chen Tang back then. After all, this would minimize the negative impact. After getting married, Shiningshan was always criticized by others. He felt that he could not turn things around with Chen Tang by his side, and his mother was always sick and needed care, so he sent Chen Tang back to his mother. The old lady was a difficult person to get along with, and instinctively regarded her daughter-in-law as her natural enemy. In addition, Chen Tang is the third party who destroyed our marriage, so the old lady now has the evidence against him. She often used insulting words like vixen and bitch, and would beat and scold people at any time. Chen Tang lost his job and had no source of income. He was completely dependent on Shiningshan for support and could only swallow his anger. Later, Shiningshan's salary became lower and lower. Chen Tang couldn't stand this painful and hopeless life anymore and finally divorced Shiningshan. By then, she was already in her 40s, her best years had been wasted, her reputation was ruined, and she could only survive by doing odd jobs. But for her, this is better than staying with Shin's mother. Not long after she left, the old lady passed away. Chen Tang felt that doing odd jobs was too tiring and wanted Shiningshan to support him, but was harshly rejected, and Chen Tang's son, who pointed at me and said I was a smelly country woman, was sent back to his parents' home by Chen Tang. From then on, that big baby lived a poor life again. I heard that he dropped out of school at a very young age and started to live in society. Shiningshan frowned, looked down at me, and called me Shui, but he did not come forward to help me up. 3 years have passed since Yuyo, and the agreement I made to the Exploration Bureau that I would not change my original employee's position or type of work within 3 years has expired. I went to talk to Shiningshan. He trembles with fear when he sees me now. I acted like a leader, pointing fingers at him and pointing out his various mistakes and shortcomings. Shiningshan could only nod his head in agreement, or carefully refute. Later, I came to the conclusion, you are not suitable for management positions. What technical skills do you have? Shiningshan answered me cautiously, I know exploration technology. I replied indifferently, it's useless to me. Then I pointed outside the door and said, "We need someone to clean the toilets now. It's a good fit for you. Do you want to do it?" Shan resigned and left. His exploration skills had a narrow scope of application and his life was very difficult. He has done all kinds of hard work. They are no longer high-ranking leading cadres or technical backbones. Thus, the heavy rain that had started in my previous life and soaked the first half of my life finally stopped. After the rain, the sky cleared up and I walked on the road feeling refreshed. Story 2. After being abandoned in the choice between two people, I realized that I was actually just a vicious supporting female character. Unexpectedly, the villain turned around and killed the chosen female lead. He raised his eyebrows and blew on the muzzle of the gun. Do you understand what a villain is? Going back on one's word is a virtue of a villain. The next second, we were all reborn. Looking at the 18-year-old villain, I said indifferently, "Do you understand what a female lead is?" 1. When I was kidnapped together with Mo, I learned that I was actually just a vicious supporting female character. She is a pure white jasmine, while I am a vicious and dark person. The meaning of my existence is to set off her fragrance and beauty, but it was too late. The muzzle of the villain's gun was already pressed against my temple, in front of the tearful and pitiful Mo. No one would choose me. My husband, Zhou, wouldn't either. Staring at Mo, when he heard the choice between two people, he shouted without hesitation, "I choose Mo, don't hurt her." He was so afraid that if he chose a second later, his Miss Jasmine would get hurt. He was so nervous, his eyes fixed on her, not sparing me even a single glance from the corner of his eye. My hands and feet were tied up, and there was no possibility for me to escape. I could only watch helplessly as Zhou embraced Mo and walked out step by step. He didn't look back even once. It seemed that this person had completely forgotten that he had once blushed shyly and begged me to marry him amidst the cheering of the crowd, and he had also devoutly kissed my lips and promised to love me forever. There was a gunshot, a blood flower bloomed on Mo's white dress. The kidnapper who abducted us whistled flirtatiously, a perfect score. Looking at Zhou with a shocked and painful expression, he laughed happily. "You can't be serious. Is there really someone who believes in the villain's choice between two people?" He pointed at me. "Now, the person who loves you has a heart as cold as ashes." Then he pointed at the fallen Mo. "The person you love is dead. Zhou, are you happy?" I, who had managed to survive by luck, "Oh no, I've met a real villain, too." The moment Mo took her last breath, the galaxy seemed to hang upside down. I returned to the year when I was 17, with a student-like look. My fingers were slender and fair, without any marks of being imprisoned by a ring. This year, I was just in my senior year of high school, while Zhou and Mo were admitted to the same university and went to the North City. I still remember the day I sent Zhou to the high-speed railway station. I said to him, "Mo is in the same major as you. Please take good care of her for me. She has always been competitive and never tells me anything when something happens." On the way, I chattered about Mo to him for a long time. Just before entering the station, Zhou lowered his eyes and asked me unhappily, "Xiaoli, don't you have anything to say to me?" I was taken aback, quickly glanced at the pedestrians by the roadside, stood on tiptoe and kissed Zhou on the face. "Take care of yourself too." After the kiss, I ran away as fast as I could. When I looked back, Zhou was still standing there, smiling and looking at me. He said, "Xiaoli, I'll be waiting for you in the North City." For these words of his, I worked hard for a long time, and tried my best to get into the same place as him. I didn't know that while I was calculating how many more points I needed for my grades, the person I loved had rotted away without any warning. In this new life, looking at the knowledge points that I have completely forgotten and the test paper that I can't do at all, I was silent for a few seconds, then picked up the pen dash. "The revenge on this scumbag is on hold. I'll take the exam first." 3. To prevent Zhou from contacting me again, I used the excuse, "Playing with a mobile phone in senior year of high school makes my studies go to waste," and directly handed in my mobile phone. My father was so touched that he knelt down on the spot and burned 3 sticks of incense to our ancestors, praying that my study mindset could last a little longer. That night, "The Heart of a Dream Chaser" played in my house all night. I ran to school the next morning, because a true dream chaser should run forward, facing cold stares and ridicule, and then I was kidnapped. There was no way to call for help. Damn it, I handed my mobile phone to my father. The familiar villain, in his youthful version, rolled up a copy of 5-year college entrance examination, 3-year simulation and pressed it against my temple. you've fallen on hard times, bro. The last time I saw you, you were holding a gun. The villain slapped the 5-year college entrance examination, 3-year simulation in front of me, clapped his hands twice, and a group of bald old men filed in. He raised his hands up, and his underlings snapped a banner above his head. It read, "If you don't study today, your boyfriend will become your brother-in-law. If you don't master this question, they'll kiss each other." Me, the villain lifted his chin and smiled wickedly. "Chinli, from today on, your mission is to study hard and get into the same university as Zhou Ji. In my previous life, although I worked very hard, I only managed to get into a university in the North City, which was several levels lower than the university where Zhou Ji and Chen Mo studied," I said. "I've already broken up with Zhou Ji. I made it up. In this life, Zhou Ji and I haven't even officially been together yet." In the shocked eyes of the villain, I sat down in front of the desk, looking at the group of top-notch teachers in front of me. I said sincerely, "Can I still have tutoring here? If I have such resources, I want to study hard here, not to get into the university where someone is, but to get into a better university." My experience in my previous life told me that those who pin their meaning on others deserve to be let down. 4. The villain, Fu Qian, is the young master of the Beijing Circle. His main role is to be slapped in the face by the male lead and to eliminate the supporting female character to help the female lead rise to power smoothly. I don't know why he went crazy and killed the female lead Chen Mo in the previous life, and in this life, he is obsessed with helping me make progress. Maybe he has a deep love for Zhou Ji. At the moment, I'm here listening to the class, while he is holding my phone and pretending to be me to fall in love with Zhou Ji on QQ. Zhou Ji seems gentle and polite, but in fact, he is more narrow-minded than a needle. In this life, I didn't go to see him off when he went to school, and he didn't send me any messages for several days after the start of the semester. Fu Qian, pretending to be me, coquettishly said to Zhou Ji, "Dear brother, why haven't you been paying attention to me?" Zhou Ji replied instantly, "Speak properly." Fu Qian, "Humph, I miss you." He sent a coquettish cat love emoji. I couldn't help it, I'm not like this usually, and Zhou Ji also. Before I could finish my words, I saw Zhou Ji reply with a little mouse sending a love emoji. Me, Fu Qian showed off. "Do you understand what a man is?" So I had to swallow my anger. Fu Qian is a punctual kidnapper. He takes me away at 8 a.m. every day and sends me back after the evening self-study ends at 9 p.m., with devilish teaching methods in between. As soon as I slack off, he points at the banner and scolds, "Kiss each other, kiss each other." When I say I've broken up and ask him not to bother me, he looks at me as if he understands that I still love Zhou Ji very much. Just like this, I studied like crazy for a month and jumped from the middle of the grade to the top in the monthly exam. Fu Qian played the role of my substitute girlfriend in a coquettish tone for a month. On the evening of September 30th, he sent me home and was still reminding me, "We're not having a holiday tomorrow, come for tutoring as usual, you still need to improve your basic scores. I hope you're really concerned about my studies and not worried that there will be no one to cover for you when Zhou Ji wants to have a video call." As soon as I got out of the car, I bumped into Zhou Ji, who was waiting at my doorstep. He asked with a dark face, "Shally, I went to your school to wait for you. Your classmates said that you haven't been to class for a month." His sharp gaze swept over Fu Qian, and his voice was filled with a murderous intent. "You've been fooling around with this kind of person." 5. Subconsciously, I dodged, revealing Fu Qian behind me. Sure enough, he had a stress reaction under the male lead's sarcasm. He adjusted his tie and showed a mocking smile. "What kind of person am I?" I whispered. "You're his QQ girlfriend." Fu Qian stumbled and almost fell on his face. He gave me a fierce glare, regained his momentum, raised his chin and said contemptuously, "A good dog doesn't block the way, understand?" The single word "understand" was delivered with a cadence, fully showing the greasy demeanor of a domineering president. Zhou Ji frowned and rolled up his sleeves. Before he could take any action, a fist had already landed on his face. Fu Qian rotated his wrist. "Bro, take my advice, words are words, and actions are actions. When you want to hit someone, you have to strike first." He actually lived up to his words. He didn't delay his actions while speaking and kept punching Zhou Ji in the face. Zhou Ji was no pushover either. He turned around and started grappling with him. The two were evenly matched, but unfortunately, Fu Qian had bodyguards. As soon as he saw that his advantage of striking first was gone, he quickly called for reinforcements. Zhou Ji stared in disbelief, his handsome face full of resentment. "Despicable. 2 fists are no match for 4 hands, and he was soon pinned to the ground. Fu Qian's leather shoes stepped on Zhou Ji's face, and he showed his classic villain smile. Who wants to have a one-on-one fight with you? He turned his head and looked at me, who was watching coldly. You know what to do tomorrow, right? You don't want your boyfriend to be beaten like this every day, do you? He bent down and spat on Zhou Ji. I quite like her. Originally, I would have kept my promise to her and left you alone. There was full of shame and pain in Zhou Ji's eyes. Xiaoli, you're doing this for me. Me, why is there still a part for me in this? I said coldly. Zhou Ji, it has nothing to do with you. The pain in Zhou Ji's eyes became even more intense. His voice was hoarse, like a beast cornered. Xiaoli. Damn it, it's completely impossible to explain now. 6. Zhou Ji said to me in a low voice. Don't worry, I won't tell uncle and aunt. There was a glimmer of tears in his eyes. It's my incompetence. I had nothing to say. Zhou Ji limped away with his injuries. Before leaving, he stared deeply at Fu Qian and said hatefully, you wait. Fu Qian crossed his arms and sneered. After the person walked away, he put down his arms, his tone full of regret. Why didn't he say, don't bully a young man just because he's poor? Me, you look like you have a big chest when you cross your arms. Fu Qian instantly got angry, his face turning red. What are you talking nonsense about? I turned around and left. Haven't you been talking nonsense all night? It's just a return. 7. When I opened the door of my house, there was a familiar figure sitting on the sofa. It was Chen Mo. I didn't want to talk to her, so I quietly changed my shoes and walked towards my room. It's strange, these 2 people didn't come back during the National Day holiday in the past either. Xiaoli, there's milk on the table, drink it before you go to sleep, Chen Mo suddenly said. No. The words of refusal had just come out of my mouth when I suddenly realized something. I looked back and met a pair of eyes full of tears. Xiaoli. It's me, she said. In this world, the only one who doesn't call me Xiaoli but stubbornly calls me Xiaoli is my elder sister, my only elder sister, the one who loves me, Chen Mo. 8. Since I was a child, I knew that there was a monster hidden in Chen Mo's body. The first time it appeared, I was 9 years old and Chen Mo was 11 years old. Our parents went to work in the south, leaving only the 2 of us to depend on each other. Chen Mo was a good elder sister and didn't hesitate to take on the responsibility of taking care of me. Every evening, she would boil hot water, mix it with cold water, and then call me to wash up. But that day, she suddenly ordered me around in a strange tone. Go and bring the water to me. I didn't think much of it and obediently did as she said. When I bent down to put down the basin, a hand pressed on the back of my head and forcefully pushed it down. I fell to the ground, and my head was pressed into the basin. My nose and eyes stung from the water. The abuser hummed a little tune happily behind me. Only when she saw that my struggling strength was gradually weakening did she lift me up. Oops, why are you so careless? She asked with a smile. I looked at her in horror, but she leaned closer affectionately, kissed my face with her lips, and licked the water droplets off my face. So fragrant, baby. You're so fragrant. For several years after that, when the monster appeared, it would always do similar things. First, it would torture me, and then it would hug me, call me baby, mark my neck with its lips and tongue, and its eyes would be full of obsession. Grow up a little more, baby. 9. At this moment, Chen Mo was sitting in the living room with tears streaming down her face, and her expression was exactly the same as every time she found out that the monster had hurt me. She seemed to want to say something but was afraid of being discovered by someone. In the end, she just said a soft sorry. I hesitated for a long time, then walked over and gave her a hug. I said, it doesn't matter. Just like every time before, my elder sister is my elder sister, and the monster is the monster. I can tell the difference. 10. The next morning, I always felt that my neck was both painful and itchy. When I looked in the mirror, it was full of bite marks and red marks. My heart sank. The monster had come last night. It hugged me and sucked and bit from my chin to my collarbone, and I was trapped in my dream, completely unaware. I wrapped a scarf around my neck to try to cover the marks, but my mother still found them at the dining table. She tore off the scarf in one go, and then splashed the hot soybean milk on Chen Mo's face. She shouted at Chen Mo in a breakdown, pervert, get out of here. Chen Mo didn't have much luggage, just a small suitcase. She stood up silently and dragged the suitcase out. This wasn't the first time she had been driven out because of this. I secretly looked outside. Fu Qian was standing not far away by the roadside waiting for me to go for tutoring. During the holidays, my father returned my mobile phone to me. I sent him a message. Do me a favor, see that girl dragging a suitcase by the roadside, send her to the high-speed railway station, please please. Fu Qian replied instantly, Chen Mo. My heart skipped a beat. Sure enough, this guy was also reborn. In this life, he shouldn't have met Chen Mo yet. Fu Qian, what did she do to you that she was kicked out even during the holidays? Me, she bit my neck. Fu Qian, what the hell? 11. In the afternoon, I sneaked out to find young Master Fu for tutoring. He looked at the marks on my neck, his face turning red and then pale, and then red again. He carefully glanced at my expression. How about we take a rest today? I had already opened the textbook and was waiting for the teacher to start the lecture. No need, I'm used to it. Yeah, Chen Mo has been like this since I was a child, I hinted at him, but we've seen a psychologist, and there's nothing wrong with her mental state. I knew that it wouldn't be long before the monster completely took over my elder sister's body. I was powerless to stop it, but if it were Fu Qian, with his brain, no, his influence, maybe he could find out the reason. I looked at him expectantly, but unexpectedly, he angrily pounded the table, molesting one's own younger sister at such a young age. What a beast. I was silent. Compared to the monster, it seems reasonable for a normal person to think of this first. I tried to explain, but he was immersed in the shock, with his face clearly showing, you don't need to say anything, you've really had a tough time. After a long while, after my math tutoring session was over, he finally came to his senses. As if casually, he took out a band-aid from his pocket and pointed it in the air towards my collarbone. It's broken. His flamboyant eyebrows and eyes showed a bit of embarrassment. With one hand in his pocket, he suddenly said, Chenli, study hard, you can apply to any university you want, stay away from Chen Mo and Zhou Ji, they will kill you. The young man's eyes were serious, as if he had made some kind of determination. This young master, can also be invincible on my own, me? Why is he suddenly so fired up? 12. The not yet fully fired up young Master Fu was severely extinguished by his mother, who rushed over from afar. Madame Fu, with her slender waist and delicate appearance, was as graceful as if she were dancing when she took off her high heels and hit Fu Qian with them, while tenderly apologizing. I'm sorry, I'm not good at teaching my son. She swung her high heels with great force. With each swing, Fu Qian let out a yelp, but he didn't dodge at all. He just stood there, not getting angry at all. Fu Qian quickly found the key to the problem. Mom, I didn't do anything. I'm just helping someone with tutoring for poverty alleviation. Chenli, say something. He looked at me pleadingly. Me, Auntie, Madame Fu turned to look at me. She stared at my neck, and her face changed drastically. Fu Qian's heart sank. He choked and said, I should have known better than to let you speak. Mom, if I tell you that this was done to her by her perverted sister, would you believe me? Madame Fu's answer was to raise her high heels. She even turned the shoe around, changing from holding it by the heel to holding it by the sole. With the sharp heel directly facing Fu Qian, her intention to kill her son was obvious. She sighed, I'm so sorry. It's really a misfortune for our family. Fu Qian and I rushed forward at the same time. Auntie, Mom, stop. 13. It was the first time I saw the arrogant and gloomy villain being so obedient. He only explained in a gentle voice without talking back, and even squatted down to put the shoes back on for his mother. He said firmly and softly, Mom, go back to the North City. I have important things to do. When I go back for the new year, I'll bring you the peanut brittle you like the most. Madame Fu finally gave in. She gave me a phone number, showing it to me and also to Fu Qian. Remember to call Auntie if you have anything. She left, and the gold chain with pearls hanging from her ankle knocked against the metal buckle of the shoelace one after another. Tick-tock, matching the rhythmic sound of her high heels hitting the ground. It was very pleasant to hear. I remember this chain. In a few years, it was worn on the wrist of Fu Qian when he was holding a gun to kill someone. The monster in Chen Mo's body once complained to me that Fu Qian seemed to have a white moonlight. He was always wearing her relic, so it wasn't some non-existent white moonlight, but his real and warm mother. 14. Fu Qian sent me home as usual. On the way, I asked him why he was going after Zhou Ji. He casually replied, I just don't like the look of him. Me, oh. I thought it was because you knew he would eventually step on the Fu family. Fu Qian's pupils constricted. He stuttered, you. Yes, I'm also reborn, Mr. Villain with excellent marksmanship. I asked him, why go through so much trouble to get me to Zhou Ji's side, like in the previous life? Wouldn't it be quicker and more convenient to just take action directly? Zhou Ji is so weak now. while Fu Qian is still the high and mighty young Master Fu, it would be very easy for him to take action. Fu Qian stared blankly out of the window at the plane trees. At this season, only the edges of the plane tree leaves are a little pale yellow. The warm yellow light of the setting sun shines in through the gaps between the leaves and reflects in his eyes. He said very softly, because the person I want to protect is still alive and well in this world, so I don't want to be a cruel villain who goes back on his word. It's very naive, isn't it? 15, Mr. Cruel Villain and Miss Vicious supporting female character formed an alliance. The current strategic goal is to improve Miss supporting female character's grades, because everything has been reset. More important than revenge is to live a good life in front of us, run hard towards a more beautiful future, love what I love and do what I do. 16. I didn't expect that this guy Fu Qian could really endure being a QQ girlfriend all the time, I said. Why do you go to all this trouble? Fu Qian looked mysterious. When a man becomes love-struck, his intelligence will decline. Look, I waste at least 5 hours of his time on love every day. He definitely won't have time to start a business. Is this the civilized method of you wealthy young masters in the capital? Couldn't you just find a subordinate company to suppress him? That would be much faster. Fu Qian waved his hand. Physical suppression is likely to trigger the don't bully a young man just because he's poor effect. He showed his familiar smug smile. Do you understand what a male protagonist in a certain genre of online novels is? I was silent. Who told you that Zhou Ji is a male protagonist in that genre? Fu Qian was very excited. I'm the villain who holds the script. He said that on a dark and windy night. He understood the truth. This world is just a novel. The protagonist, Long Outyan, is named Zhou Ji. He has a childhood sweetheart helping him take care of things at home and a charming secretary helping him navigate the business world. He steps on the Fu family and beats other new tycoons. It's a very typical cool novel. After listening, it seemed a bit reasonable. A story of a person from a poor family rising to the top, with 2 female protagonists in an urban setting. A bit of a one-on-one relationship but not really. It very much conforms to the characteristics of that genre. But I know another version, I said. On the day I was kidnapped, a voice suddenly told me the truth of the world. This is a story of a wife and husband getting back together with a taboo theme. The female protagonist, Chen Mo, and her younger sister's boyfriend had already developed feelings for each other, but for the sake of protecting her sister, she gave her lover to her. At the wedding, they looked at each other from afar, secretly filled with sorrow. Forgive me for dressing up to attend. Only to miss you. 17. Before I could finish, Fu Qian let out a loud ugh. He took a big sip of water to calm himself down, still in shock. We're pure-hearted people. We can't listen to this, he said in disgust. Your version is even worse than mine. You're actually comparing them. These two are just different narrative perspectives. What's the difference? But the two of us still felt that something was wrong. How could it be such a coincidence? After much hesitation, I still said, maybe both of these versions of the truth about the world are false. I told you that there is a monster living in my sister's body. It seems to have the ability to bewitch people. Every time she hugs me, I have no ability to resist. I told him in detail about Chen Mo's strange behavior. If possible, I bowed to him solemnly. Please save my sister. Fu Qian listened very carefully. Only when he heard this did he step aside to avoid my bow and said to me seriously, have you ever thought that she might just have dissociative identity disorder, that evil-filled personality might be the main personality, and you're just unable to resist because of fear? He stared at me. For the first time, this usually carefree person was seriously lecturing me. Chenli, you can love someone, but don't always think about saving her. Only those who are willing to save themselves in this world can grasp the thread of hope from heaven and be redeemed, otherwise she will drag the rescuer down like a water ghost. I was stunned for a while. First, I smiled gratefully at Fu Qian, and then I affirmed, Chen Mo doesn't have dissociative identity disorder. We've been to many hospitals. She's very normal. There are no signs of delusion or dissociative identity disorder. Moreover, I've seen that monster eat people. On a hot summer afternoon, the monster was lying on my father, eating him bit by bit. When I arrived, she was eating the last finger, frowning and looking very disgusted, as if she was not satisfied with the texture of human flesh. I clearly saw the blood on her fangs and the tail behind her swinging happily because of the meal. When she saw me coming, her tail even wrapped around me to measure my waist. The monster wiped her mouth and said regretfully, Sister, you're so thin. I shouted hysterically, called for help, and called the police. The monster looked at me with a smile, letting me struggle. She knew that no one would believe me. They all said that I was overly sad because of my father's disappearance. During the last quarrel, Zhou shook off my hand and threw me to the ground. Looking tired and disgusted, he said, "Chun-Li, can you stop being crazy, now?" I was talking about this past that no one believed again. Fu Qian said, "I see, I'll find someone to take a look. Don't worry." His eyebrows and eyes were solemn. And it seemed that he completely believed me. Strangely, I felt a long-lost sense of security and being trusted. I said, "Maybe Chen Mo herself also knows something." But Chen Mo always avoided my questions. Fu Qian touched my head and said in a soothing tone, "You focus on the exam. In this life, nothing has happened yet. There's still time." Only then did I realize that unknowingly, I was already in tears. I wiped my tears, nodded, and forced a smile. "I know, I'll work hard." 18. By the end of the year, I ranked among the top 10 in the grade. Fu Qian was even happier than me. He immediately gave the teachers red envelopes thicker than bricks. The day before he was going back to the North City for the new year, I treated him to a hot pot meal. It rarely snowed in the South City. The snow was fine and scattered, falling on the tip of his red, frozen nose. I laughed at him for valuing style over warmth, wearing a thin coat to show off in the cold winter. He deserved to be frozen to death. For some reason, he got angry and pinched a small snowball and threw it at me. Naturally, I fought back. We were like real teenagers of this age, naughtily playing around all the way. When we were parting, Fu Qian said to me, "Thank you, Chun-Li. I've been very happy and relaxed these days." He waved his hand, his eyebrows and eyes full of smiles. "I'm very glad I came to the South City to find you." Me, huh? It should be me thanking him for his long-distance poverty alleviation efforts. Fu Qian didn't explain. He left stylishly, leaving behind a large stack of test papers. Except for New Year's Eve and the first day of the new year, there was exactly one set of papers for each subject each day. Me, this new year, neither Zhou nor Chen Mo came back. Aunt Zhou came to our house as a guest, saying that her son had contacted several friends at school to start a business together. I sent a text message to Chen Mo. She didn't reply. Fu Qian, on the other hand, sent messages every day, talking non-stop. He said that the peanut brittle I helped him choose was very delicious and Auntie liked it. He said that the fish his mother raised had died and he planned to buy one to replace it. He said that his father was extremely stingy and didn't give him any New Year's money this year. He said, "Chun-Li, Happy New Year. May everything go your way in the new year. Love yourself even more." I stared at this sentence for several times. 19. After the Lantern Festival, Fu Qian didn't often stay in the South City. He was very busy. He had to inherit the family business, find someone to help Chen Mo, and also have an online relationship with Zhou on QQ. Fu Qian even coaxed Zhou to change to a new account to chat, so as not to affect the normal use of my account. Until one day, his online chatting was discovered by his mother. The understanding Madame Fu made him a bowl of rainbow-colored noodles to show her support. Fu Qian was so scared that he outsourced this task overnight. The person he found was very skilled. Zhou didn't realize at all that his girlfriend had been quietly changed again and was still chatting with her enthusiastically. Looking at those chat records, I just found it funny. I rarely thought about him anymore, as early as in the previous life. In the long nights when I stayed awake with my eyes open and in the endless quarrels after failed communication, the friendship of our youth had already dissipated. I put all my energy into my studies. I not only had to work hard, but I could also go all out. By the third mock exam, my grades had stabilized among the top 3 in the grade. Fu Qian no longer persuaded me to study hard. Instead, he persuaded me to learn to relax. I perfunctorily agreed to him verbally. But secretly I still studied like crazy. To be honest, I had fallen in love with the feeling of mastering knowledge points. As a result, 5 days before the college entrance examination, a group of law enforcement officers rushed into our building and took away the teachers who were staying up late to study with me. We received a report that someone is illegally tutoring. I looked towards the door. The whistle-blower was leaning against his big Harley, with a lollipop in his mouth. Smiling at me smugly. "Fu Qian, are you crazy?" I rushed over to scold him. He put a helmet on my head and motioned for me to get on the bike. "The teachers need to rest, and so do you. It's just a few days left. Take a break. Don't be so tense all the time. Let's go. I'll take you for a ride." The summer wind quickly passed by my ears, and the street lights on the side of the road formed an intermittent line. Leaning against his back, I asked thoughtlessly, what if I don't pass the exam? I knew that not all efforts in the world could be rewarded, but I really, really hoped that this time it would be different. My voice was very soft, but he heard it. Fu Qian shouted carelessly at the top of his voice, then go to the university you can get into. I pinched his waist. You should say that I won't fail the exam, but I couldn't help but laugh. My heart also became light in the night wind. The used up pen refills in the drawer, the test papers piled higher than a person. The thick notebooks full of wrong questions, they were the answers. In this final battle, with lofty aspirations, ride the wind and soar to the 9 heavens. 20. The 2 days of the college entrance examination passed quickly. After the last subject, English, when I walked out of the examination room, I still didn't know whether the multiple choice questions that I changed from A to B and then from B to A were correct. But I knew that I had done my best, then there was nothing to regret. Outside the examination room were all the parents looking forward with anticipation. I immediately saw my mother wearing a cheongsam and my father with the edge of his purple underwear faintly showing under his beer belly. It is said that it means win at the start and definitely succeed, which is one of the most popular outfits for parents during the college entrance examination in our country. When Chen Mo took the college entrance examination, they dressed like this too. I walked towards my parents when suddenly a boy wearing a baseball cap bumped into me. A bottle of water still cold to the touch was stuffed into my palm. I turned my head. Fu Qian raised his eyebrows and smiled at me. Congratulations on being liberated. He stretched out his finger and pointed. Chen Mo was standing not far away and mouthed to me, "You're amazing, Xiaoli." She didn't come closer. After saying that, she walked away against the flow of people without looking back. Fu Qian let out an AI sound, hurriedly said, "I'm taking her to meet a big shot today," and then slipped away to follow her. It was not until very late that day that I received a message from Fu Qian. "Maybe it's a fox, ghost," I asked. "Is there any solution?" This time, the typing indicator on the other side flashed for a long time before a message was sent. "Not yet, fox, ghost." I pondered these 2 words over and over again, and a sense of unease like a mirage welled up in my heart. I suddenly wanted to ask Fu Qian if that shot of his that hit the bulls I really killed the monster. 21. At the end of June, the exam results were released. The result was about the same as I had expected. It was just enough to get into North City University, to be Chen Mo's junior and Fu Qian's classmate. Yes, Fu Qian is also from North City University, but he took a 1-year leave of absence last year. Fu Qian asked me how it felt to be admitted. I said it was like flipping a coin. There was a 50% probability of heads or tails. Now it's just that the head side has landed in my palm. Fu Qian was sincere. Only those who have passed the exam can say such pretentious words. I burst into laughter. As if casually, Fu Qian asked, if we were to go back to the previous life now. I didn't hear clearly and asked what he said, but Fu Qian didn't say it again. In the evening, we were walking towards my home. Unexpectedly, we bumped into Chen Mo and Zhou Ji, who had come back for the holiday downstairs. They were intertwined, like 2 vines. Zhou Ji noticed me first. He nervously pushed Chen Mo away. To be precise, it was the fox ghost in her body. He stammered and dared not speak. I just said softly, "Excuse me." In the previous life, I asked why many times and got many answers. This time, I'm not surprised that he made the same choice. 22. Not long after, Zhou Ji came to see me once. He said he was bewitched by Chen Mo. "You know, she's very strange," he pleaded. "When I see her, I feel like I'm possessed. But Xiaoli, the person I really like has always been you." His voice was very low. "I just made a small mistake. We've had so many years of feelings." I looked at him and smiled. "Zhou Ji, later, when you 2 had sex, you apologized to me like this too. You even told me that you were very afraid of that monster. So I stupidly believed that you were the victim." Zhou Ji had always known that Chen Mo was strange, but she helped him obtain a lot of business secrets and fawned on him. Gradually, he came to think that she really loved him deeply and was even willing to be the other woman for love. He began to pity her and even love her, but I knew that she was just raising him, raising his sense of moral corruption, raising his lust and struggle. The day he completely became its captive, the boring prey would be simply eaten as food. Zhou Ji blankly avoided my eyes and pursed his lips. "Xiaoli, what are you talking about?" I impatiently interrupted him. "Stop pretending. You don't really think you're the 19-year-old Zhou Ji, do you?" 23. The moment I saw Zhou Ji, I knew that he was the 29-year-old Zhou Ji who had let me down. The 19-year-old Zhou Ji really loved me wholeheartedly. If it were the 19-year-old him on that afternoon when I refused to see him off, he wouldn't have left angrily with his things. The small suitcase beside him actually contained snacks for me. There were dozens of things in it, such as lime-flavored soda, strawberry-flavored milk tablets, tomato-flavored potato chips, etc. They weren't expensive, but it wasn't easy to buy them all in the small South City. Before he left that year, he secretly ran to many places to gather them all. He gave them to me and told me that when he came back during the winter vacation, he would take me to eat other delicious food. The handsome young man confessed his feelings straightforwardly for the first time. Shelly, you have to remember to miss me. But the reborn Joji had forgotten. He had forgotten that these were the snacks I loved to eat, and he had also forgotten the sincere heart that the young man wanted to give to the girl. That sincere heart, I had once accepted, cherished, and helplessly watched it gradually rot. I watched helplessly as my young man gradually changed beyond recognition and finally died in time, not even remembering himself. I said to Joji, so, even when you go back to being 19 years old, you still want to continue our relationship and try to get me back? Joji's expression changed. I'm not heartless, naturally, I'm reluctant to give you up, I sneered. Then do you know that it wasn't me chatting with you this year? It was, I got stuck for a while. Fu Qian outsourced this job. Now I don't even know who Joji's QQ girlfriend is. Forget it, let's just say it was Fu Qian. It was Fu Qian. Joji's face was a picture of shock. Look, you don't even remember what the 19-year-old me, the one you loved, was like. Don't disgust me, get lost. I walked away. I didn't tell him that he was not far from death. At the moment when we passed by each other, I saw the fox ghost staring hungrily at his neck and swallowing saliva. 24. Sure enough, this was the last time I saw Joji. Not long after, a video was sent to the phones of Fu Qian and me. In the video, a pair of elegant hands dismembered Joji and then ate him piece by piece. No matter how much he cried, begged, or cursed, those hands didn't stop. He had courted disaster by conspiring with a tiger, and he deserved this end. I didn't pity him, but I felt a sense of sadness like that of a hare mourning the death of its fellow. Moreover, I noticed that the background of the video was the abandoned building where Chen Mo and I were kidnapped in the previous life. I asked Fu Qian softly, as if afraid to disturb a dream, did we really get reborn? Could this one fox ghost really have the ability to turn the world around and let us all go back to the time before the story happened, allowing us to turn the tables against the wind? Fu Qian turned his head and didn't answer. He asked me instead, Chenli, is it Zhuangzi who dreamed he became a butterfly and was carefree who was happy? Or is it the sober Zhuangzi who was happy? 25. I thought for a long time. I thought about this year full of hope and sweat, about my father who was still alive, and about Fu Qian who told me that because the person he wanted to protect was still alive, he wanted to be a decent person. Finally, I said to Fu Qian, go back and say goodbye to your parents. Zhuangzi who became a butterfly was happier, but he wasn't a butterfly, and I wasn't the Duke of Zhou. I had to face my real life. That damned monster wasn't dead yet. I couldn't let it have its way. I went home. My parents were still happy that I had been admitted to such a good university. My father was cooking in the kitchen, making my favorite pork with preserved vegetable. It was very hot in the kitchen. He was bare-chested and sweating profusely. When he heard me come in, he impatiently waved the spatula. Go, 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 stay outside. I leaned against the door and looked at him. I wanted to tell him, Dad, actually I didn't get into a very good university as you expected. I also didn't make a career. I got married as soon as I graduated. I didn't protect my marriage well. And I didn't protect the people I loved, such as my sister and you. In the end, I had nothing. But I didn't say anything. I calmly had the last meal with them and got up to say goodbye. I said to my father, Dad, there's one thing you said that was very right. As long as I want to and as long as I'm willing to work hard, there are many things I can do. This is true for the college entrance examination, and it will be true for other things too. My father looked up, and his chubby face wrinkled into a smile. He said, that's right. What Dad said won't be wrong. My daughter can do anything. Be confident. He bent his elbow towards me and made a go-for-it gesture. I stared at him intently, not willing to blink even though my vision was blurred by tears. I said cheerfully, I know, Dad. 26. As soon as the words fell, the scene completely shattered. When I opened my eyes again, I was still in that abandoned building. There was blood all over the ground, and fragments of Zhouji's clothes could be faintly seen. The fox ghost was leaning against the ground, gasping for breath. That shot of Fu Qian still caused her great harm. She didn't recover much even after eating Zhou Ji. The fox ghost had completely lost her human form. Half of her face was a white skeleton. When she saw me wake up, she suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. She questioned me. I wove a beautiful dream for you. Why did you wake up? Isn't the dream good? There are parents who love you, a good university, and a bright future. I said, you're talking nonsense. I got my grades 1 point at a time. Don't take credit for it. I pounced on her fiercely, grabbed the white bones on her face, and pulled hard. How dare you mention my dad? For him, I have to come out and take revenge. I won't just know how to escape in pain and play those insipid love games with you anymore. I broke off several of her white bones. As I hit her, I laughed at her low-level methods. She even stuffed a script into my mind and said she was the female lead. She was really brainless. The fox ghost was furious. She was also weak at the moment. She turned over and started fighting with me. When we were at a stalemate, there was a gunshot. Fu Qian, yo, another bull's eye. He broke the fox ghost's breastbone. I woke up too. He raised his gun, walked to my side, and pulled me up. Looking at the fox ghost lying on the ground and unable to move, he stuffed the gun into my hand and held my hand. You choose where to shoot. He smiled and said, let's try physical exorcism. He knew my unwillingness and my hatred. I pointed the gun at the fox ghost. Are you very good at bewitching people? At the chest. Do you like eating people very much? At the mouth. And at the hands. Shot after shot. The fox ghost's wails resounded throughout the abandoned building. She trembled and said, it's useless. Even if you torture me, I can change to another body and continue to live. Ha ha ha. A voice answered her. Really? After living in my body for so many years? Aren't you entangled with me? I looked at the fox ghost in surprise and uncertainty as she struggled with a ferocious expression. She uncontrollably crawled out while screaming no. Before long, she actually crawled to the edge of the abandoned building. In an instant, I had an epiphany. Sister, I shouted. She stopped briefly but didn't turn around. She said, Shaoli, I'm sorry. No one will come to hurt you anymore. I'm sorry. She exerted force with her arms and rolled down. I subconsciously wanted to chase after her, but Fu Qian held me tightly. He said, Chenli, do you still remember that I took Chen Mo to see a master? The master said that Chen Mo could only be truly liberated if she killed the fox ghost herself. In the next life, she will be born into a very good family. I couldn't stop crying. 27. The fox ghost only did one good thing, killing Zhou Ji. I was still his legal spouse and could inherit all his property. It was a huge sum of money. Enough for me to squander for several lifetimes. I brought my mother to my side and hired a rehabilitation therapist to adjust her body. She didn't ask about her eldest daughter and son-in-law anymore. She just hugged me tightly. In a certain spring, I established a charity foundation in Chen Mo's name to help the left-behind girls who were like us back then, not only to accumulate virtue for her, but also to leave more traces of her in the world. A person really dies when they are forgotten. I hope that someone will always remember her. Fu Qian has done a good job in revitalizing the Fu family these years and has helped me handle a lot of things. With his help, I began to learn to manage the half of Zhou Ji's remaining industry that should have been mine. Fu Qian said to me, no matter when, always try to live hard. Chenli, this is the truth you taught me. At first, he didn't expect me to accept the rebirth so quickly and work hard. Later, he also didn't expect me to accept everything returning to zero and going back to reality so quickly. I said that the illusion really led to our rebirth. Although I regret that I ultimately failed to change my life at that time, the significance brought to me by that period of victory is extraordinary. This far exceeds the value of an exam itself, even in this broken and unchanged world. I have the courage to bloom new flowers. Fu Qian smiled. Okay, then let's continue to work hard together. Go for it. On his wrist, the pearl bracelet emitted a gentle light, silently supporting him. Me, how does this guy manage to have such a young mindset? In short, Mr. Dylan and Miss supporting female character are becoming the real protagonists of their own lives. After numerous storms. Extra story. 1. The person Chen Mo loved the most was her younger sister, but occasionally, she would also be jealous of her. Jealous that she was more beautiful than her and that she was more loved by their parents. She knew that every time her father came back from working away from home, he would secretly give her younger sister a small handful of candies and stuff them in her pocket. The way her father looked at her younger sister was different from the way he looked at herself. 2. In the second year of junior high school, this jealousy reached its peak. My parents had barely settled down in South City, but their financial situation was only enough to take one child to study there. Chinemo saw her mother glance quickly at her father and then say without hesitation, "Naturally, Shally will come with us first." Her father was smoking and didn't say anything, he acquiesced. Chinmo's heart felt as if it had fallen into the pickled cabbage jar in winter. She ran into the mountains crying, she thought, "Why can't I be the one who is chosen? If you choose me, I will still give it to my sister. I know that my grades are better and I can get into a key high school even if I study in the countryside. I know that I am older and can take care of myself alone, but I also want to be chosen once, even just once." As she thought about it, a terrifying thought emerged in her mind. If only there was no younger sister. She kept thinking like this obsessively until she heard her sister's calls from afar. Only then did Chinemo suddenly wake up. She found herself standing in front of a pool, beside which lay the skeleton of a strange beast. The black eye sockets of the skeleton stared at her and smiled at her, but when she rubbed her eyes and looked again, it was still the familiar mountain forest in front of her. There was no skeleton or pool at all. Chinemo shivered. That night, it was her sister who found Chinemo and hugged her, crying non-stop. Her sister said she wouldn't leave. If they were to leave, they would leave together. Her sister said, "Sister, don't be sad, we will always be together." Later, her sister still went to study in South City first. It was Chinemo who asked for it. That night, Chinemo learned about her own life experience from her mother's mouth. She was not her father's biological daughter. Her father took in her mother who was pregnant and abandoned, and later married her and had a younger sister. The younger sister was never called Chinli and had nothing to do with her name Chinemo. Her name was Chinli, born when the pears were round and just ripe. She was as lovely as her name. The day her sister left, her father said to Chinemo, "I've arranged boarding for you, give Dad 1 more year. Dad will earn money hard and take you there too." The tanned man rubbed his hands uneasily, his eyes full of apology. Tears still fell from Chinmo's eyes. She said, "It doesn't matter, Dad." When she came back during the summer vacation, her sister was holding a box of chocolates tightly in her arms. She nervously handed it to Chinemo. "Sister, eat this." During the long journey, the chocolates had melted. Chinemo knew that her sister had always had a sweet tooth, but along the way, she had endured and hadn't eaten a single one first. Chinemo divided the chocolates in half and gave half to her sister. She thought, "In this life, I will never compete with my sister. I will always love her and protect her." But Chinemo didn't expect that on that night a long time ago, her jealousy had summoned a demon. At that time, everyone's fate was standing on the edge of a cliff. The monster deliberately let Chinemo discover her. She was biting and tearing at Chinli, making a lot of noise. When Chinemo woke up, her sister's neck was already covered in blood, and her parents were knocking anxiously on the door outside. The worst-case scenario, Chinmo's blood instantly turned cold. Her sister reacted first. She covered Chinmo's mouth and shouted towards the door, "Mom and Dad, it's okay, my sister and I are just playing around," she said. "Sister, don't be afraid," she said. "Let's save money together to go to the hospital," she said. "Sister, you will get better." Obviously, she was the victim. Chinemo threw herself into her sister's arms and burst into tears. Chinemo refused her father's request to take her to South City together, using the excuse that she was already used to studying here. She didn't want to hurt her sister anymore, but the monster wouldn't let her go and still bewitched her parents to discover her strange condition. Sure enough, they were extremely frightened. Chinemo didn't blame her parents. Anyone would be scared. What's more, at Chinli's pleading, they had already spent a lot of money on her and gone to the hospital many times. Chinemo thought, "It's all my own fault." As the years went by, Chinemo was gradually losing the war against the monster. She wasn't as ferocious or as cunning as it. She was just an ordinary girl targeted by bad luck. The only thing she could do was to stay away from her sister and stop contacting her. But she still messed up her sister's life. The monster in her body seduced her sister's lover and raised a new food. The monster once said that food in a state of intense emotion was the most delicious. She loved delicious food and even more loved the process of cooking it. So, she used Zhou to torture her sister step by step, making her change from a charming little girl to a pale and tired one, making her hurt, making her cry, making her miserable. The monster was extremely happy. She even killed their father for her sister. She didn't like eating greasy middle-aged men. She just wanted to see the food she had raised for so many years. which had been stubbornly resisting and trying hard to deal with her, collapse. Chen Mo's heart was bleeding. 8. Fu Qian's shot seriously injured the monster. She had to use all her life's abilities to create an illusion. Zhou Ji, Fu Qian, her sister, and even she herself were all trapped in it. The real predator was recuperating while baring its fangs at them. She was waiting for them to die in the collapse when the illusion shattered. 9. Chen Mo had seen Fu Qian in the monster's body, a superficial and naive young master. The monster wanted to eat some upper-class people, so she managed to kill his parents and then appeared beside the young master who had suddenly suffered a great change, trying to capture him. Unexpectedly, the young master was quite smart. He not only withstood the monster's temptation but also discovered the strangeness of Chen Mo and Zhou Ji a few years later. He almost succeeded in killing the monster. Unfortunately, he was just one step short. Chen Mo thought. He should have immediately fired another shot, instead of standing there like a fool, making some useless villain declarations, so brainless. 10. In the illusion. The brainless young master took Chen Mo to meet many masters. Chen Mo knew that she and the monster had grown together for too long. If the monster was completely eliminated, she wouldn't be able to survive either. Her soul would be completely dissipated, and there would be no reincarnation. The young master sighed and didn't tell Chen Li, nor did he force Chen Mo to make a choice. Chen Mo thought, although this young master is brainless, he's actually quite nice. She said to the young master, "Tell my sister that the master said if I can eliminate the monster, it will be a great achievement, and I'm going to be reborn as a young lady. Please tell her not to be sad." The young master agreed. 11. Chen Mo was the last one to break free from the illusion. Her soul was really too weak. Chen Mo happily watched her sister disappear from the illusion. She knew that she had gone to the real world. Like a warrior, she had become as brave and bright as she was many years ago, daring to fight to the death with anything that stopped her. Chen Mo picked up her phone. For so many years, fearing that her sister's feelings for her would grow deeper, she had never replied to her sister's messages. Her sister had sent many messages. "Sister, the Mid-Autumn Festival is coming soon. Come and celebrate together. I bought your favorite snow skin mooncakes. Sister, this semester, I heard from Mom and Dad that you did very well in the exam. You're so amazing. I'm proud of you. Sister, don't be nervous for the college entrance examination. I believe in you. Sister, it's the new year. Happy New Year. Sister, I will become even braver. Do you believe me?" Chen Mo read one message after another and replied by quoting each one. Finally, she could reply, "Sister, thank you for the snow skin mooncakes. I like them very much. Sister, I'm always proud of you too. Sister, I'm not nervous. You, on the other hand, have to work hard. Sister, Happy New Year, peace and good luck. Sister, I've always believed in you. You're the bravest girl I've ever seen." She put away her phone, returned to reality, and fought side by side with her sister. 12. Chen Mo tore the monster's soul to pieces. It turned out that it was just a wisp of remnant soul, so small. With my hands and feet bound, I had no possibility of escape and could only watch helplessly as Zhou Ji embraced Chen Mo and walked out step by step. In this way, her sister wouldn't be hurt anymore. When she finally disappeared, Chen Mo thought of a very old little thing. At that time, her sister was still young, and Chen Mo was leading her home from school. By the roadside, clusters of white flowers had blossomed and given off a fragrance at some point. She picked a bunch and handed it to her sister so that she could also smell nice all over. Her sister smiled and pinned one on her lapel in return. She said the teacher told her that these were jasmine flowers. She sang the song that spread throughout the streets and alleys, full of fragrance and beauty on the branches, fragrant and white, everyone praises. The clear child's voice led her step by step on the way home. Chen Mo thought, at least in the end, she still got up to protect her sister. That's really great.